Hey guys, tonight we're not setting sail with pirates. No greasy headscarves, no damp treasure maps that smell like old pickles, and definitely no half-starved sailors shouting about lost gold they were never going to find anyway. Nope, tonight we're stepping into something gentler, deeper, and a whole lot more comforting. The world of ancient Christian writings, words crafted in deserts, whispered in prayer, carried through centuries, and somehow still landing softly in the middle of your modern, anxiety-filled life. But before we wander into that peaceful territory, take a second to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. No pressure, no spiritual guilt trip. And of course, leave a comment telling me where you're listening from and what time it is for you. Somehow it is always 2 a.m. somewhere. And if you're listening at 2 a.m., perfect. That's exactly when ancient wisdom hits the hardest, right when your mind is trying to replay every awkward moment from the past 10 years. Now dim those lights, turn on a fan for that soft white noise breeze, sink under your blanket, get comfortable, and maybe tuck your feet in. Not because imaginary rats are scuttling around tonight, but because we're entering sacred ground where peace is meant to wrap around you like a warm cloak. Let's pause for a second. Have you ever wondered how ancient words, written by people who lived in sandals, ate figs for snacks, and thought owning one goat meant you were doing pretty well, can still heal hearts in the modern age? Have you ever thought about how scripture, written in dusty caves, candlelit rooms, or under starlit skies, still speaks directly into the chaos of your current worries? What is it about these old stories and gentle teachings that seem to whisper, "Breathe, you're not alone"? Tonight, we're taking a slow journey into the quiet power of ancient Christian texts. Psalms that calm storms inside you, parables that untangle knots in your heart, letters that encourage tired souls, and teachings that remind you how deeply God understands the human tendency to worry. We're not rushing through theology or diving into debates. We're easing into these stories like walking into a warm room after a cold day. Tonight is about softness, reflection, and uncovering how people from long ago found peace in a world far more chaotic than ours, without Wi-Fi, without schedules, without the constant buzz of notifications stealing their attention. Imagine sitting near a fire in an ancient home, lamps flickering, the smell of bread in the air, someone reading words meant to comfort weary hearts. Imagine fishermen telling stories of miracles that quieted storms, both outside and inside. Imagine early believers sharing hope in whispers, while carrying burdens heavier than any to-do list we stress about today. These people lived hard lives, filled with real danger, uncertainty, and exhaustion. And yet they found peace, not because their world was easy, but because their faith gave them an anchor. So settle in, let your breath slow, let your heart become quiet, and let these ancient words, full of strength, wisdom, and gentle reassurance, begin to wash over your anxiety the way waves smooth the shore. Ready? Let's begin. Chapter 1. Secure within the pleasant land. The night has settled softly over the world, draping everything in a calm, velvety darkness. Far from noise, far from hurry, a quiet figure rests securely within a vibrant green boundary line, an invisible yet unmistakable mark of safety and blessing. It encircles a pleasant land, a place of peace, promise, and gentle inheritance. Here, the soul is allowed to rest. The boundary glows faintly, not with harsh brightness, but with a soothing, natural radiance, like moonlight resting on fresh spring grass. It curves around the figure like a protective embrace, reminding them, and us, that not all boundaries confine. Some boundaries nurture, some boundaries reassure, and some boundaries, set by loving hands, simply remind a weary heart, you are held, you are safe, you are exactly where you need to be. Within this sacred enclosure, the land is soft and green, flourishing with quiet beauty. Nothing rushes, nothing competes. The earth beneath is steady, the air gentle, carrying the faint scent of life renewed. It feels like a place shaped intentionally for rest, an inheritance not of wealth or power, but of peace, belonging, and divine care. Above, the dark night sky stretches endlessly, deep and serene. But it is not frightening. It does not loom overhead with threat or emptiness. Instead, it becomes a silent teacher, a quiet counselor. In Scripture, the night often speaks, not through noise, but through stillness, offering wisdom not to the ears, but to the heart. And tonight, the counsel of the night settles gently over the figure like a soft blanket. The darkness holds stars that seem to hum with meaning. The quiet offers a kind of instruction that daylight cannot, suggesting that even when life feels shadowed, comfort and clarity can rise from within. The world slows, and in the slowing, the figure can finally hear the steady rhythm of their own heart, guided by divine wisdom whispering gently, peacefully. The figure sits with closed eyes, breathing calmly. Each breath feels deeper than the last, like the earth itself is teaching them how to rest. Their worries soften at the edges. The anxieties that once felt sharp now loosen their grip. The green boundary, the pleasant land, the night sky, they all work together, weaving a message that sinks into the quiet spaces within. You are not alone. You are watched over. The one who sets your boundaries also steadies your steps. The more the figure rests, the more they feel the ancient truth beneath their feet, an inheritance not earned, but given. A place of safety not built by human strength, but prepared long before they ever arrived. The land reminds them of promises spoken across generations, promises of refuge, guidance, and enduring love. And from above, the night offers another layer of comfort. It speaks without speech, teaching the heart in ways words cannot. It guides the figure inward, where God's quiet voice settles, gently in the soul. Be still. Let your heart learn peace. Let your mind rest in me. The figure lifts their face slightly, eyes still closed, letting the cool night air wash over them. The darkness no longer feels like a void. It feels like a sanctuary, a place where fears dissolve and divine wisdom fills the silence with meaning. Within this green boundary, in this pleasant land, under this wise and gentle night sky, the figure discovers what ancient words have promised for centuries, that God surrounds his people with purpose, that he counsels them even in the dark, that inheritance is not always a place, it is often a peace. And so the figure rests, steady and secure, wrapped in quiet reassurance. Anxiety loosens, wisdom deepens, peace settles like dew on morning grass. The night continues to watch over them, instructing the heart until dawn. Chapter 2, The Shield of Light. Welcome, dear listener. Tonight we embark on a journey more invigorating than your last caffeine-fueled night at the office. Picture this. It's 1000 BCE, somewhere between the Iron Age and the ancient Israelite monarchy, where the people are as superstitious as your neighbor who still covers their furniture with plastic. If you've ever thought procrastinating at work was a modern dilemma, wait until you hear how they tackled their daily grape trampling. Tonight, we'll dive into a story that will envelop you like a warm blanket in winter, minus the mothballs. I invite you to get comfortable. Turn down those fluorescent lights. Hello, they're not from this era. If you have a fan, turn it on and let it whisk you away to a land where the biggest worries are looting Philistines and the occasional locust plague. But first, let's ponder a few absurd questions about this time and the peculiar characters you're about to meet. Ever awakened to find your sheep missing? Not your best morning, right? How do you deal with a neighbor who insists on sacrificing goats like they're your morning coffee? Way too often? And what if you suddenly found yourself standing before a giant wall of shadows, with your only hope resting on a glowing mountain? Not your average Tuesday, I bet? And there you are, my friend. Congratulations. You've just woken up amidst the hustle and bustle of ancient Israel, where the air smells faintly of baked bread and sheep dung, And your biggest concern is how to scare off that pesky mountain lion who's had a little too much to drink at the river. Now, just as you shake off the sleep and contemplate what outfit to wear, because your fig leaf attire can't remain stylish forever, you hear the distant whispers of an intriguing tale unraveling before you. As you draw deeper into the valley, the landscape before you morphs into a scene that feels like a dramatic reenactment of your worst fears. There, amidst the wilderness, stands a lone figure. A shepherd, perhaps, or maybe just someone who forgot to bring lunch. Surrounded by an army of shadowy foes, like the time you faced off against your landlord over the rent, you can almost feel the tension in the air. But fear not. In this ancient land, you're not just dealing with weeds, you have divine intervention on your side. A golden, glowing light encircles our lone warrior, looking more like a disco ball than a heavenly shield, flashing and shimmering, catching the sunlight as if it knows exactly how to make an entrance. It's a protection so fierce, it might even make you wish you'd had a slice of that golden light on pizza night instead of the sauce-stained cardboard your friend Angela insists adds character. As you observe, this courageous figure stands in defiance. They're not just any ordinary person. Oh no. Just like that one friend who insists they know better when ordering pizza, this person has their sights set on a distant, magnificent, holy mountain. You can almost see the determination in their stance, feet planted firmly, heart beating steadily. Because who cares about a few shadowy foes when the light of God has your back? How on earth do they remain so calm, you wonder? Because in this world, the bigger fear isn't losing your Wi-Fi connection. It's knowing that the forces around you could potentially oppose every ambitious plan you ever dreamed of. You know what this feels like, don't you? Facing down office politics, or convincing your family that your Netflix choices are valid. Even the tiniest flicker of doubt can shroud your dreams. But here, amidst the dramatic, shadowy figures, something miraculous awaits. The protective cocoon of light wraps around our heroic figure tighter than grandma's hugs, keeping insecurity and anxiety at bay. Now, perhaps, you feel a sense of peace. Or maybe that's just the extra slice of pizza rolling in your belly. Either way, our fearless companion stands as a beacon among chaos. As they gaze into the tranquility of the divine light, you can't help but wonder if this shield is just as effective against the countless emails awaiting your reply back in the 21st century. If only, right? And here's the kicker. Despite the looming threats, you can practically hear the voice of reason echoing back to the heart of our ancient tale. Don't you worry, it says, for you are protected. Your glimmering mountain may seem far away, but it's all part of the journey. Just as you settle into that comforting thought, like your favorite blanket fresh out of the dryer, you retrieve clarity from chaos. Our brave figure, glowing like a new lamp bulb, oh yes, the ones that flicker and hum before fully lighting, reminds us that perhaps our anxieties, like those shadowy foes, are not as formidable as we think. So the scene gently fades, gradually softening into the tranquil whispers of the night. Just as our uneasy hero found strength in that divine glow, may you find serenity before drifting into a comforting sleep. You too can rise as a protector of your own dreams, encircled by a divine light that will forever lead you back home. Whether you're facing mountains of stress or merely the shadows of your own worries. And so, you let the gentle embrace of this ancient tale carry you off to sleep. As the final echoes of our story fade away, remember this: you are not alone. The divine light surrounding you, much like the warmth from freshly baked bread, will guide you through the stormy nights and restless days. If you found peace and laughter in this journey with us tonight, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Only if you enjoyed the ride, of course. Sleep well, dear listener. Draw in the tranquility and awaken rejuvenated, ready to face whatever shadows await you tomorrow. Good night. Chapter 3. The Radiance of Peace. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord. Tonight, we begin with something brighter than a toddler's smile on Easter morning. The dawn of faith during the Iron Age in ancient Israel. Imagine a time when the idea of Wi-Fi was just a distant dream, like wondering if Moses would ever get his GPS sorted out. So grab your cozy blankets, yes, the ones your cat has claimed as their personal throne, and find your most comfortable spot. I promise you this will be smoother than trying to decipher a family tree at a reunion. Now, picture this. Has your heart ever felt like a pumpkin at the last-minute Halloween carving contest? You're all sorts of nervous, and someone's about to take a knife to it. Or have you lain awake, pondering why you thought it was a good idea to teach your dog to fetch your slippers, and why that sounded so adorable last week? As we journey back to 1000 BCE, you might wonder, what was their version of dog training? Or perhaps, did they roll their eyes over gate-crashing neighbors? Or were they just too busy dodging Philistines? Congratulations, you've just woken up in a dark chamber filled with the gentle whispers of ancient wisdom. A space so serene, it feels like the calm before an impending locust swarm. Picture it now. You're lying on a simple cot, no fancy memory foam here, just a layer of straw and hope. Your heart is heavy with worries. Visions dance in your mind of looming giants and formidable shadows. You breathe deeply, ready to confront those anxieties, but then something extraordinary happens. Let's shed some light on this moment, shall we? Suddenly, a glorious shaft of brilliance pierces through the darkness like a heavenly spotlight at summer camp. And oh, my friend, when that light lands on your face, it's not just illuminating your features, it's igniting a fire within your very soul. You squint, wrestling between disbelief and awe. Imagine the radiance is akin to opening your curtains after a dreary week, and behold, sunshine, revitalizing, almost as refreshing as finally finishing that one Netflix series that refused to end. As the warmth spreads through you, your heart inflates with overwhelming joy, swelling more than Aunt Martha's prized pumpkin at the harvest fair. Amidst all your worries, this divine glow wraps around you, letting fears skedaddle, much like a surprised cat backing away from an unexpected cucumber. Is this the light of divine liberation? You muse, as your anxieties flee faster than your cousin after a dispute over who makes the best hummus. You realize this glorious presence isn't just a fleeting moment, it's a promise wrapped in hope and infused with faith, much like that cup of strong coffee keeping you awake during Sunday service. But hang on, could it be that this same light shining upon you was the inspiration behind those poetic chapters written by feisty shepherds wandering in the hills? A rush of familiarity sweeps over you as you recall snippets, words like "fear not" and "his light shines through darkness." Ah, yes, this same light that flares with elation is the same beacon guiding hearts through centuries, illuminating paths through fears worse than no Wi-Fi on a Monday morning. You feel its power. It's like a hug from someone who means it, squeezing all your worries into oblivion. Yet still, doubts nudge at the fringes of your newfound joy. What if this moment fades? You ponder. But then the light glimmers brighter, as if to say, about that. Your worries are small potatoes against this miraculous blessing. Like when you realize your favorite sweater has magically reappeared from the depths of your laundry basket. Reassuring, comforting, almost unreasonably delightful. The atmosphere in the chamber shifts, and you become aware of the surrounding tranquility, echoing the calming whispers of that divine presence. You're safe. You are loved. It seems to call out, softly nudging you to lay down the burdens that weigh down your spirit. And just like that, the thought of defeat feels distant. You can almost hear the faint laughter of your ancestors carried on the wind, inspiring your heart to believe that you can rise once more. In this flicker of hope, with the warmth of the heavenly glow embracing you, you contemplate stepping into that radiant path laid out before you. Feeling lighter than a feather being tossed by the wind, you let out a small, relieved laugh. Perhaps it's true. You can move past shadows and anxiety. Or, at least until Monday morning rolls around again. With the divine light surrounding you like an ancient embrace, you rest, letting the warmth guide you into deeper nights of peaceful slumber. As the glow continues its shimmering dance, you realize that it's more than just illumination. It's an invitation to let go of your fears, to trust in the grace that flows in silence, yet shouts louder than thunder. So, dear listener, let this radiant embrace fill you with the peace of ages past, calming your heart as you drift deeper into sleep. Where worries fade and dreams take flight, may your spirit find refuge in the grace that knows no bounds. As the last embers of light flicker softly into the night, remember what we shared. The warmth of divine love shines brighter than any anxiety that threatens to weigh you down. If you felt those comforting words tonight, don't forget to like, subscribe, and perhaps even leave a comment. Only if you truly enjoyed this serene journey, of course. Sleep well, dear listener, and may you awaken refreshed and prepared to greet a world wrapped in its glow. Good night.
Chapter 4. The Wandering Wanderer. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord. Tonight, we begin with something cozier than your old grandma's knit cardigan. A stroll through lush pastures during the serene days of 1000 BCE in ancient Israel. Now, imagine a time when streaming referred to flowing water, and not yet another reality show about people who can't seem to figure out life. So, go on and snuggle into your blankets, the ones reclaiming their role as your personal security blanket, of course, and settle in comfortably. We've got a tale that's smoother than trying to explain to your cat why you can't let them out at midnight. Have you ever felt like a lone sheep in a large, raucous flock? The kind wondering if perhaps it might be better to be a goat. At least, they always look like they're having a hoot. Or perhaps you're the sort who lies awake at night, pondering the eternal question of who would win in a duel, a chicken or an egg? Well, congratulations. You've just been whisked away to a glorious moment in 1000 BCE, where sandals are your footwear and sheep are your daily drama. Picture it. You wake up to an invitation for adventure, and lo and behold, you're greeted by the most local of celebrities, a shepherd with the charm of 1,000 Instagram likes and his trusty staff. And speaking of wandering, let's chat about those sheep, shall we? Ever thought about how they must feel being led diligently along a path? Like walking through a nature documentary that doesn't quite make it to the end credits. Picture this shepherd with his sturdy rod, guiding you as you feel far removed from the anxieties of the day. What's for dinner? Ah yes, that's right, a lovely assortment of nothing but grass. With each hoof fall on soft earth, the sound resonates like a gentle lullaby, calming your spirit as you are led through lush, green pastures. The air is fragrant with wildflowers, an aroma so delightful it would make even the most congested allergy sufferer smile. And amidst it all, you feel an unexpected sense of tranquility washing over you, the kind that wraps around your heart like a marshmallow in hot chocolate. Every rustle in the grass is like a whisper in your ear, reminding you to breathe deeply and set aside your worries. Ah, the stillness of quiet waters serves not only as a picturesque view, but also as an ethereal essence that rejuvenates your very soul. It's as if God stretched out his hand to send you precisely here, right now, leaving no room for anxiety. Just as the river flows, you begin to feel your troubles carry downstream. Imagine a hefty burden thrown like an old shoe into the current. It splashes and vanishes from sight. The shepherd smiles. He knows this secret well. You're safe here, he assures with a twinkle in his eye. Relax, breathe, and trust. Now, picture reaching a place of serene clarity, where you spot a flock of sheep lounging in the sun, a scene that could easily become a timeless mural, a pastoral paradise. Have you ever observed sheep? They can be surprisingly amusing. One sheep, curious about the trimmings of a thorn bush, looks bewildered. as though that bush is going to drop an award-winning comedy stand-up on it. It's like watching your toddler try to make sense of a jigsaw puzzle, but with fewer pieces and more delightful wool. Just as you chuckle at the sheep's antics, another thought nudges your mind. What do we all seek, if not a gentle guide through life's rocky paths? Even when the path seems unclear, you realize that turning back is not an option. Laughter ripples through your heart as you acknowledge the wild adventures that lie ahead. And speaking of adventures, did you ever wonder just how many sheep you'd need to wrangle to secure a spot at the finest local banquet? You chuckle at the thought. It's divine irony that these little creatures find themselves traipsing along peaceful paths while you ponder their dinner parties. The absurdity of it all reminding you to let loose, to be more like them. So here you are, at the edge of the pasture, urgency stripped down like a simple meal of bread and olives. With every gentle step forward, your heart lightens. The burdens of modern life combine with the delightful nostalgia of an ancient present. It feels like being part of the story itself, navigating the grassy hills, a smiling shepherd by your side. In these moments, your worries dissipate like the morning mist, each breath drawing you deeper into a state of tranquil relaxation. As the sun sinks into the horizon, painting the sky in hues of soft peach and lavender, you smile, allowing yourself the peace you've long aspired to find. And just like that, dear friend, the subtle elegance of this tranquil path guides you further toward a night of restful slumber. As you prepare to drift into dreams, remember the shepherd, ever watchful, ever caring, leading you toward the still waters of hope. And as you tuck in, resting in the embrace of warmth and light, hold tightly onto the joy of this tale, the gentle guiding hand of faith stirring within, casting doubts into the gentle breeze. If you enjoyed this evening's journey, please like, subscribe, and drop us a comment. Only if you truly enjoyed it, of course. Sleep well, dear listener. May your dreams be filled with peace, laughter, and perhaps a roaming sheep or two, ready to share more of their wisdom. Good night. Chapter 5. The Slumbering Shepherd of Shadows. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord. Tonight, we embark on a journey that's as comforting as a cup of herbal tea you've forgotten on the stove. Pleasant, but with a hint of danger if you let it sit too long. As we wander through the enchanting valleys of 1000 BCE, where the only streaming involves actual rivers and not late-night online debates about the best place for falafel, prepare for an adventure. Imagine you stepping into a world where the most intricate problem is avoiding an angry goat. Could there be a creature more stubborn? So settle deep into your blankets, your fortress against the world outside, and perhaps dim the lights just a tad. Unless you're a night owl, in which case, you might as well be welcoming the dawn with pancakes. Have you ever pondered what goes through the mind of a traveler in uncharted lands? Perhaps you've dreamed of wandering through foggy valleys where your own breath turns to mist, wondering if you could ever get really lost, even while hallucinogenically oversharing with a talking sheep. Seriously, would you dive into deep conversations about the mysteries of existence with a woolly companion? Congratulations! You've just woken up in 1000 BCE, nestled deep inside a shadowy valley, a place where the fog twists around you like a sad opossum searching for its lost dignity. But fear not. Though the valley may be murky, you stride forth confidently, feeling rather dashing. Let's talk about the valley you find yourself in. It's shrouded in a thick mist so clingy, it feels like those sweaters that delightfully stretch and never quite fit right. You cautiously glance around and notice some inhabitants of this peculiar land, the oblivious sheep. They seem content, munching away as if their woolly coats were designed for an eternal barbecue buffet. Amidst this landscape of fluff and fog, an invisible yet comforting presence walks beside you. It's like having a delightful friend whose sole purpose is to ensure you don't trip over a hidden rock, or, heaven forbid, take a detour into the lair of said angry goat. Don't let that goat catch you unawares. He's got a serious rep for nipping at heels. You continue on your journey, feeling the weight of the staff guiding you, its sturdy grace providing silent assurance as it wards off all potential dangers lurking in the mist. What's a traveler without their trusty staff? It's like a hiking buddy, but without the awkward, "Hey, how about these great views?" conversations that make you question your life choices. Imagine feeling that guide alongside you. This magical aura of protection envelops you. It's like being wrapped in a soft, cottony cocoon that whispers, "You're fine. Breathe deeply, my friend." The air smells of damp earth, mingling with a hint of sweet sage that begs to be appreciated. The mist swirls, teasingly hiding rocks that could roll your ankle. But you're brave, aren't you? No mysterious shadows are going to deter you, especially when you remember you've got that sturdy staff to lean on and occasionally poke at silly passing rabbits. And while you're strolling in such haunting beauty, can you hear it? The gentle whispers of leaves tumble through the air. You can almost guess the stories they would share, if only you could understand their ancient language. Mostly, beware of goat, or you call that a picnic? As this calming blanket of both mist and assurance wraps around you, let the worries of your modern life float away. Let them tend to their business while you glide through this serene landscape. Each step you take echoes with a sense of purpose, echoing like a gentle rhythm lulling you into a state of tranquil bliss. You notice a flock of sheep lounging nearby, their woolly frames defying your notions of productivity. Wouldn't it be nice to be that carefree? Today, I shall eat grass and nap. Repeat, their expressions seem to say. Unbothered by delusions of grandeur, these creatures embody the simple joy of existence. Just imagine the sheep Instagram accounts. Sheep of the Day, now featuring a patch of particularly delightful clover. And as the sun attempts to peek through the veil of twilight, you remind yourself, clarity often follows the fog. Perhaps you will find a new perspective on the journey ahead. After all, when you glimpse even the faintest twinkle of hope in the distance, isn't the heart compelled to move forward? As you prepare to continue deeper into the valley, the staff is your guide, and that ethereal presence is your steady companion. You emerge from the surrounding mist, heart aglow with all that awaits. Apricots and figs? Maybe, if luck is on your side. But even the small pleasures, like a cloud-shaped soft cheese, could turn a mundane snack into a joyous feast. And with that, dear friend, the shadowy path leads you deeper into a night rich with precious tales of hope, laughter, and perhaps a woolly misadventure or two. As you prepare to drift into dreamland, hold tight to the sweet echoes of guidance and laughter, cherishing the gentle light of faith shining even in the darkest valleys. If you enjoyed tonight's stroll through ancient mists, feel free to like and subscribe, and drop us a humble comment only if it tickled your heart. May the evening wrap you in softness, and may your dreams be enriched by the whispers of sheep, brave travelers, and the warm embrace of a knowing staff, leading you ever deeper into restful peace. Good night, sweet listener. Chapter 6, A Feast of Faith on High Ground. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord. Get ready for a tale richer than the gravy at a royal feast, and maybe just as messy. Tonight, we climb to a hilltop banquet where the drama isn't just between forks and knives, but played out against a host of lurking shadows down below. As you lay back, perhaps dimming the lights to a soft glow, like the flickering flames of a vigilant candle, let's imagine what it might be like to spread your arms wide, not as a gesture of sheer joy or sheer panic, but while seated at a dinner table that could easily double for a stage. Why, you ask? Because nothing says, "I've arrived," quite like a spread that could impress the most discerning of appetites. Even that one relative who's always on a new diet phase. Have you ever pondered the peculiar discomforts of eating in the presence of your foes? Is it possible to enjoy your feast while your neighbors plot your downfall like mischievous woodland creatures scheming against the foreground of a cozy picnic blanket? Do you ever question if there are unseen forces lurking just behind the olive dish? Congratulations. You've just woken up on a sunny hilltop in 1000 BCE. Nothing about this era comes without a sprinkle of drama, and trust me, this is no picnic. The scent of grilled lamb wafts through the air, blessedly intoxicating, marinated with spices so timeless you'd consider them worth an Instagram story, if only you had such a thing. As you glance around the sturdy wooden table, marvel at the lavish spread laid out before you. Pomegranates glisten like they've just purchased the latest skincare regimen. Figs loom in their mysterious sweetness, and grapevines are draped with clusters that can only be described as nature's candy. But don't let your mind get too wrapped up in the dessert menu just yet. Colorful bowls of stewed lentils await, their earthy aroma grounding your spirit. You take a breath, the fragrant oil freshly anointing your head, allowing the tranquility to settle deep within you. It's like being pampered, only you don't have to tip anyone. And there it is, your cup, overflowing beside you like stories of old that refuse to be silenced. Is there anything worse than spilled wine? Well, perhaps spilled trust, but let's not go too deep just yet. Let's talk about danger for a second. Just a few scruffy weeds below you lie a collection of your not-so-happy neighbors who seem to think their lunch was stolen by some overly ambitious birds. These enemies linger in the shadows, akin to awkward guests at a wedding, eyes darting around to evade the camera while plotting their next move, like they're in some kind of culinary heist movie. Do they plan to crash the feast? You wish there was a flair bartender to pass out mocktails to calm the group. With every clink of silverware, you wonder if the message of peace will waft down to them on the warm breeze. Maybe they'll take a whiff of the fresh bread and realize the futility of their plotting. After all, who wants to ruin an afternoon just to get a piece of grumpy pie? But how could they resist? They're human, just like you, though perhaps a bit more chaotic than your bubbly cousin with the inflatable pool. The laughter around the table rises like the sun above the horizon, and as the sun warms your skin, tales both ancient and comical spill forth. Resilient warriors, sleepless nights, and the occasional mishap with a goat. What a delightful tapestry of shared experience. Ever tried convincing a goat to behave? It's like debating with a toddler who believes they run the household. It's a meaningful dialogue, but ultimately not very fruitful. Your soul begins to unwind, firmly nestled between laughter and relics of shared memories. You realize this feast is not just about food. It's a balm for tensions and threads leading back to hope. Those lavish portions of lentil stew? Just a reminder that fullness often surpasses mere physical satisfaction. It nourishes the spirit, whispering, "Hey, you're okay. You've got friends. You've got a feast." Think of those enemies as merely commoners yearning for comfort food. And as you savor every bite, know that in this moment, you are truly protected, wrapped in the arms of love and camaraderie. The table is laden, not just with food, but with peace, overflowing cups of joy, and a sense of purpose escaping the all-consuming panic of these shadowy figures below. You tap your glass lightly, clinking it against the goblets of friends around you. Let's toast to that vulnerability. Nothing says "I love you" more than sharing bread in the same breath as acknowledging the past, especially when your foes bear grins like hyenas at the back of it all. So let those worries flutter away, dear friend, like dandelion seeds carried by the wind. Whether it's the feasting, the fellowship, or the looming shadows below, remember, you are at the heart of a beautiful banquet, privileged to experience life in all its flavors, calamities, and glories. As you settle deeper into your blankets, allowing the warmth of this feast to wrap around you like a comforting shawl, remember that life is not always about avoiding those lurking shadows, but also about relishing the sweet moments with those who matter most. If you found solace tonight among the savory stories and gentle laughter, feel free to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Only if it tickled your heart, of course.
May your dreams be woven with warmth, laughter, and perhaps just a hint of roasted lamb and figs. Good night, sweet listener.
Chapter 7. A solid stance above the storm. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, much like a cozy blanket that accidentally became the dog's favorite nap spot. Tonight, we find ourselves at the base of a colossal stone fortress, towering above a sea that's less serene waves at sunset and more stage dive at a rock concert. Chaotic, loud, and slightly terrifying. As you settle into your favorite sleeping position, maybe curled up like a pretzel or spread out like a starfish, think about how often life feels just like that wild sea below. Ever wonder how many times a day you find yourself holding on to something solid amidst swirling chaos? And what about those moments when the universe throws a curveball just as you're getting comfortable? Seriously, is there a cosmic manual on how to deal with giant waves of anxiety when you're just trying to savor that last crumb of peace? Congratulations, you've just woken up in 1000 BCE. But don't worry, you're not still snoozing on a stone pillow. Or if you are, it's probably more comfortable than your neighbors snoring. You're here, standing firmly at the base of an unshakable stone fortress, its walls rough and mighty, a testament to resilience. A divine light streams down, illuminating your noble stance amid the chaos below. Take a moment to breathe in the salty air around you, mixed with the earthy scent of rocks warmed by the sun. Can you hear the crashing waves? A symphony of nature that feels like an angry toddler throwing a tantrum. The sea is in full dramatic mode tonight, crashing vehemently against the rocks, a method of communication if there ever was one. But lucky you, here you stand, surrounded by towering stones, perfectly anchored to emphasize the sassy defiance of this fortress. So, let's talk about your current state of mind. Have you ever felt like a ship lost at sea? Quirky thought. Would you rather face a raging storm or sit through your great-aunt Edna's relentless stories about her cats? Nope, that's a tough choice. None of the above, right? Now, as you gaze up at the fortress, imagine the stories these stones could tell. Look closely. In the crevices, you see wildflowers pushing through the cracks, defiantly bright against such a grand structure. Isn't it interesting that even amidst this formidable stone, life finds a way to bloom? It's the very essence of hope. You're like those flowers, standing tall even when everything around you feels like it's about to tumble, like your gym equipment after a long week of procrastination. The wind gusts forcefully, carrying the salty spray of the sea like a mischievous prankster that flings your hair into wild disarray. But hey, let's face it. At this height, no one can see you. You are free from the shackles of modern life. No alarm clocks, no deadlines, and no screaming children begging for snacks that somehow cost more than gold. It's just you, the fortress, and the turbulent sea buzzing below like a warning siren. Now, what's that up in the sky? Could it be a flock of birds? Or maybe a divine sign sent to whisper sweet nothings into your ear? Or, plot twist, could it just be a couple of nosy seagulls who think they own the joint? Those little tyrants sure think they have the rights to everything that falls from your hands. But let's focus on higher thoughts, shall we? Every crashing wave represents our worries surging toward us. But just like those mighty fortress walls, you too can stand firm. Divine light shines brightly, singing promises of peace, a gentle reminder that you are a pillar of strength. And if that didn't already merit a high five from the universe, then what does? The waves crash violently, frothing and bubbling like a pot of boiling lentils left unattended. Yikes! Has anyone ever tried making dinner while navigating through existential dread? It's all fun and games until you realize your 5-star gourmet meal is now a burnt offering to the food gods. But dear friend, the whispers from above, like a soothing blanket, wrap you up with comfort. Those waves, no matter how fierce they seem, are not stronger than the fortress you stand before.
The light shines brighter than your neighbor's obnoxious front yard decorations glowing through the night. You chuckle softly as you find the hilarity in life. Who knew that anxiety could be curbed by simply being in the moment, standing firm with the grace of a gazelle and the tenacity of a grouchy cat? Just as the sun begins to set, painting the horizon in splashes of amber and gold, know that your heart, backed up by the firmness of the fortress around you, can find peace even amidst the chaos. You will make it through, even when the sea turns stormy, and that fortress will stand as a testament to your resilience. As you surrender to the tranquil whispers of this ancient scene, let the sound of crashing waves lull you into a deep and peaceful sleep. Picture yourself as a relentless warrior against the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, silently high-fiving every seagull that graced you with its flight. As you wrap yourself in the warmth of your dreams, let the light of this fortress be the beacon guiding you through life's turbulent seas. If you've enjoyed this calming journey through ancient lands wrapped in cozy humor, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Only if your heart feels light enough to do so, of course. May your dreams be as solid as that fortress and as comforting as a favorite blanket on a rainy day. Good night, sweet listener.
Chapter 8. A Divine Gathering Amidst the Tempest. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, much like a cup of cocoa on a chilly winter's night. Perhaps ironically better than the questionable lukewarm leftovers you had for lunch. Tonight, we embark on a journey that's cooler than a hipster cafe in Jerusalem where the Wi-Fi only works half the time. A grand sacred temple around 1000 BCE. Yes, my friend, you've just trotted into the early Israelite monarchy, where people wore sandals without a care for foot odor and debated the merits of goat cheese versus sheep cheese. Now, as you settle into your sleeping position, maybe curled up like a cozy burrito or sprawling out like a freshly caught fish, let us ponder a few curious questions about life in this divine era. Was it really socially acceptable to ask strangers if they were from Jericho, just to flaunt your own hometown pride? Did the sandals hurt more than they helped during the annual temple dance-off? And imagine having to explain that feeling of joy and dread when realizing the festival display was actually gluten-free. It was a simpler time, yet, was it really? Congratulations! You've just woken up in a bustling temple, surrounded not just by ancient stones, but a lively congregation engaged in spirited joy and praise. The air is thick with a mix of sandalwood incense, spontaneous laughter, and zestiness that could rival your last family reunion, minus the awkward small talk about Aunt Martha's cat. As you stand there, it feels like the universe has decided to beam you up into a world painted with divine colors. Sunshine streaming through beautifully carved windows, casting intricate shadows like a well-timed disco ball. Look around. There's enough joy in this sacred space to make you question if everyone secretly took an extra dose of happiness juice before coming in. The loud but harmonious chants of prayer crash around you like the waves of a friendly ocean, while outside, a storm brews, unable to penetrate the temple's ancient walls. Think about it. There's a tempest outside, but inside, it's a veritable party. A bit like when you've planned an awesome brunch, only to realize your neighbor is hosting the world's loudest barbecue next door. Seriously, how do they put the hot in hot dog? The congregation sways rhythmically, voices rising and falling like a gentle breeze. Ever considered how praise has such a funky beat? It's like they've all synchronized their divine heartbeat to the grace of the moment. There's an exuberant elder, bless his jiggly belly, kneeling as though he's auditioning for a new workout routine called Praising Positivity. You can almost hear him muttering, "Lord, please turn my love handles into divine handles." And what's that scent wafting through the air? Oh, sweet spices. It's as if divine chefs are in the back cooking up some heavenly delights. Probably nothing like the dry turkey gobbling in your fridge right now. Can you almost taste the honey-drenched figs? Or is that your mind playing tricks on you, mixing the sweet essence of the temple with the faint memory of last week's grocery mishap? As the storm rages outside, you can feel the reassuring stability of the temple's stone foundation beneath your feet, a promise of safety and serenity amid life's chaotic tempests. Remember that How to Grow Up handbook everyone's been talking about? Well, perhaps it was written in ancient scrolls tucked away in this very temple. Now, while the outside world has gone into full melodrama mode, you can't help but chuckle at the absurd sight outside your cozy sanctum. Rain absolutely drenches everything, while a clever goat casually munches on whatever scraggly grass it can find, living its best goat life. Who needs a roof when you could have an all-you-can-eat salad buffet courtesy of Mother Nature? And as the cheerful sounds of worship fill the air, it dawns upon you. Here, joy and serenity dwell together like long-lost friends. Imagine the gatherings, where villagers gather not just to share a meal, but share their grateful hearts, to laugh over misadventures, and to bask in the divine warmth that surrounds them. Take a deep breath. They say these ancient walls have heard countless stories, each echoing hope and faith across generations. The tales they could tell. Who knew that Goliath once slipped on a banana peel, turning his legendary clash into a moment of hilarity? Let this moment of shared laughter by the Lord be your blanket of peace tonight. As you surrender to the inviting hum of this marvelous gathering, allow the dance of ancient words to cradle you into calmness, a sanctuary where life's storms can swirl outside, and you, dear friend, will find complete serenity within. As you drift into a peaceful slumber, let the light of this sanctuary be your guiding star, showing that anxiety has no power within walls built of faith and laughter. If you enjoyed this dreamlike journey through time, filled with a sprinkle of humor and tranquility, don't forget to like, subscribe, and maybe comment, only if you feel buoyed by that spirit of joy, of course. May your dreams be as warm as the laughter echoing within this holy temple. Good night, sweet listener. Chapter 9, A Tempestuous Moment in Time. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, much like a lovely campfire after a surprise rain shower, in the middle of your picnic. Tonight, we are diving into something hotter than the gossip at a Jerusalem market on a sunny day. Imagine a storm brewing on the horizon during 1000 BCE. Yes, my friend, you've just stepped into a world awash with ancient thunder, where sandals were the height of fashion, and the only Wi-Fi connection came from the whispering winds. But before we head into the chaos, let's take a moment. Have you ever tried finding out who invented thunderstorms, only to discover that no one has that answer? Is it like asking whose idea it was to eat hummus with olives? Why is it that whenever you try to enjoy a quiet moment, the skies unleash all their bottled-up excitement right above you? And remember those moments when you had to decide between a melty cheese pita or that perfectly ripe fig? You chose the cheese and suddenly got a surprise drizzle that had nothing to do with your lunch choice. Congratulations. You've just woken up in a time of kings and wild tempests, hearing the ancient groans of the earth below amid a cacophony that would make any modern sound system blush. The sky above, dark and tumultuous, splits open with a flash of majestic lightning that seems more dramatic than a biblical movie's climatic scene. As the thunder rolls, it feels like the very heavens are throwing a grand party, and oh, how the earth shakes, as if it's responding to an unscheduled dance-off. Listen closely. You can hear the wronged oak trees in the distance protesting their sudden demise, snapping like a humble twig under a toddler's grip. Ah, yes, the great cedar trees, those ancient sentinels, shuddering as the elemental storm gathers energy. It's as though Mother Nature decided to have a wild hair day, and the wind has embraced it with joyous applause. What smells waft through the air? Oh, the delightful scent of damp earth and cedar mingles with the atmosphere. Can you taste it? That indescribable tang of ozone as the storm approaches, deliciously charged and brimming with excitement, though nothing beats the smell of freshly baked flatbreads baking just outside the temple walls. Imagine a bakery being blown away by the weather, or the tiniest caravan of goats getting into a hilarious scuffle over straw, oblivious to the downpour. But worry not, the grand temple stands here like an ancient fortress, a beacon of refuge amid chaos, while the storms rage on like a fierce argument between two long-lost relatives at a family reunion. As the congregation huddles together, their voices rise in laughter, harmonizing with the thunder outside. It's really just God playing his guitar again. Look here, there's a raucous elder with a belly that jiggles like jelly each time he leaps in joy, grinning like he just won a challenge to smite down an extra piece of grilled lamb. The congregation sways and flows, not unlike the waves crashing against the cliffs, moving together in praise and worship, somehow managing to dodge raindrops like seasoned wizards. And as the storm unleashes its fury, you might find yourself chuckling at an unsuspecting farmer who bravely ventures out into the fray with nothing but a battered straw hat and a pair of very soggy sandals. It's a bit like wearing flip-flops during a snowstorm, an adventure fraught with mischief laced in hilarity. Ever consider how this tempest would make for an excellent backdrop in a dramatic poetry reading? Ode to a Misguided Farmer would surely become an instant hit. Let's support the amateurs, right? We're wearing our own mischief here, content within the protective stone walls as the very forces of nature swirl outside in revelry. But then it dawns. It's not just the storm that unnerves the spirit. It's such presence of relentless chaos that dances around like a child who's had too much honey and is being chased by a buzzing beehive. And yet, within this wild dance, the congregation continues to sway, bodies moving gently, reminding you that peace often arrives wrapped in the most unsettling packages. Take a deep breath and deepen your appreciation. The temple has provided warmth and comfort, like an extra wool blanket just when you thought you had to settle for an old, patched-up sheet. Each moment here, amidst the thunder and chaos, is a reminder of how faith mends the cracks of anxiety. As you reflect on this delightful whirlwind, from the jolly elder to the stormy skies, embrace this wisdom. Even when life feels like a chaotic tempest and cedars break like matchsticks, you have a sanctuary to hold on to, a place where joy and laughter can prevail. Let this memory serve as your guiding light, soothing your anxious thoughts and wrapping you in a blanket of peaceful assurance that you are never alone. As you drift off to sleep, bank this flicker of joy sparked by this lively gathering amidst a stormy night. If tonight's journey has brought a smile to your heart and warmth to your soul, feel free to hit like, subscribe, and mention it in the comments, only if it actually made you chuckle, of course. May your dreams be as vibrant as the tales of old, filled with ancient laughter and serene storms echoing through your slumber. Good night, sweet listener. Chapter 10. A Radiant Hope Amidst Winged Guardians. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, like a fresh batch of warm bread straight from a falafel stand on a bustling Jerusalem street. Tonight, we dive into a tale that's as comforting as your grandmother's hugs after a bad day. How about a delightful little escapade around 1000 BCE? Ah, the days when fashion was simple, robes were the hot trend, and people turned heads not just with their looks, but also with an aroma of olive oil. But first, let's ponder a few pressing questions that might tickle your fancy. Ever felt like you're being stalked by your own fears, like a cat with a laser pointer? Or how about that time you thought the only thing keeping you awake was a rogue mosquito, but really it was just life's relentless nagging? What's the deal with having emotional baggage bigger than a livestock caravan, yet somehow believing you can set it down anytime? And just like that time when your wedding cake fell on the cat, how do you gather the courage to face the hilarious yet terrifying moments of your life? Congratulations! You've just woken up in 1000 BCE amongst the rolling hills of ancient Israel. And let me tell you, it's quite a sight. The sun rises lazily, casting an amber glow over the land, like the cosmos decided to pour honey over everything. Here, the air is filled with a medley of scents, fragrant myrrh from nearby merchants, and the sweet promise of dates hanging low from their palms, just waiting to be tasted. Now, let's talk about your morning routine. Picture yourself amid a lively group of early Israelites. Imagine their morning vibe. There's a neighbor whose idea of breakfast is a rather impromptu singing contest about barley. Whoa, you might think. Is this how gluten-free diets came to be? Everyone looks slightly amused, and perhaps you're even smiling as you envision the chaos and joy bundled up in your neighbors' lives. And just as you begin to contemplate whether to stick with plain yogurt or whip up a lovely cream with figs, something magnificent happens. There's a massive winged angel of the Lord descending like a cloud of fluffy cotton candy at a festival. Picture this creature shimmering, radiant, and looking more majestic than a king at a coronation. This angel spreads its immense wings wide, creating a protective circle around you, a heavenly bubble that even the most intrusive kitten couldn't breach. It's as if you suddenly have VIP access to celestial bodyguards. You can feel the soft rustling of its feathers, almost like the gentle hush of 1,000 doves. As you stand amid this surreal scene, your heart soars along with the angel's outstretched wings, snapping you out of the mundanity of the morning's anxiety. Gone are the worries about grazing goats or the upcoming trade route decisions. None of it matters now, because you are cocooned in comfort. The fields stretch away as if hand-painted by some cosmic artist. Golden wheat, swaying in rhythm like a vast sea under a sunny sky. But let's not forget to inject a little humor. Imagine if this angel decided to take a break and start playing frisbee with the neighboring goats, flapping its majestic wings to keep them entertained. Look, Ma, I can soar, and I bring joy through divine theatrics. The goats bleat in astonishment, not because they're frightened, but simply unable to comprehend the sheer level of celestial skill on display. Who knew that angels were such fantastic entertainers? Just as you revel in pure, unfiltered joy, the boundaries established by the angel become a reality check against the dark shadows of dread. Anxiety fades like dew under the morning sun, and you feel as radiant as a sunset over the Judean hills. The air is crisp, filled with hope and promise, far more enticing than a neighbor's gossip about an ill-fated harvest. As life resumes around you, the townsfolk bustle away, oblivious to the divine spectacle that has enshrined you. They barter goods, your neighbor battles with a stubborn chicken, and you stand rooted in the serene knowledge that you are protected, backed by an unimaginable force, bathed in divine light. And there it is, the eternal lesson wrapped in what seems to be a light-hearted moment. Anxiety is real, yet amid chaos, laughter, and life, hope can break through like a burst of sunlight in a storm. You can rest now, no longer burdened by the weight of the world perched on your shoulders, but instead carried on the wings of divine protection. As the sun of that glorious morning rises higher, a gentle breeze sweeps through the hills, wrapping you in a whisper of promise. Take heart, it seems to say, for you are always sheltered in love. So, as you unwind and prepare to drift off into a peaceful slumber, let this be your guiding story, wrapped in divine laughter, surrounded by the beauty of faith. If tonight's journey offered you a smile and relaxed your world-weary heart, please consider hitting like, subscribing, and perhaps dropping a comment, though only if it truly tickles your fancy. May your dreams become a delightful tapestry enriched with ancient laughter and gentle angels guarding your repose. Good night, sweet listener. Chapter 11. Shadows in the Fields and Gilded Gloom. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, like a soft breeze ruffling the fringes of a cozy blanket on a chilly evening. Tonight, we embark on a whimsical jaunt to 1000 BCE, where sheep stroll the ancient pastures with more attitude than a modern-day influencer at a coffee shop. Yes, those were the days when folks exchanged gossip like valuable currency, and wearing a robe could either signify important business or a daring fashion statement on the marketplace. But before we dive into the comforting thickets of history, let's tickle your imagination with a few lighthearted ponderings. Has a stubborn weed ever made you feel like your garden's personal nemesis? Or that moment you looked at your to-do list, knowing it could easily rival the length of a scroll from the temple? You ever tried to convince a stubborn goat of its own sense of direction? Intriguing dilemmas, right? Well, here's a classic. Do you ever think that the ancient gossipers may have invented the original form of social media under a fig tree? Congratulations. You've just woken up in 1000 BCE, a time of glorious uncertainty among the rolling hills of ancient Israel. The sun warms the land gently, and the air carries the scent of wildflowers, mixing with an aroma of baked bread wafting from a nearby abode, almost like Mother Nature decided to bake her own version of a loaf. Now, let's immerse ourselves in this ancient world filled with joyous chaos. Picture yourself nestled in a vast field, richly green like an emerald caught in a daylight fanfare, where bleating sheep seem to be in deep discussion about the best grazing spots. And speaking of grazing, if you stop to listen closely, you might catch a nearby farmer creatively singing his way through his morning chores, belting out tunes about barley that could rival even the best troubadours. Dramatic, isn't it? It's as if you could cue the guffaws of the budding drama club right then and there. But hold on to your woolly hats. Just as you're soaking in the tranquility of this blissful ambiance, a harsh shift occurs. From amidst the sea of vitality, emergence takes place. Patches of withered figures, darkened by some ineffable envy, start to wither before your very eyes. They turn to dust, dry as the Nile in summer, fluttering away like lost dreams in a windstorm. Ah, the drama. Imagine them having felt like they could outshine the sun at a party, only to realize they actually showed up wearing socks with sandals, embarrassing themselves in the grand theater of life. How does one even explain that to the sheep? As if on cue, a smirking whisper from the wind rustles the tall grasses, carrying the echoes of the laughter from the vibrant townsfolk. Looks like envy just got the worst sunburn, it seems to say, while you can almost see the wretched figures throwing shade, both literal and metaphorical, before disappearing into the ether. Now, it's an important moment to reflect. You know those days that feel like climbing a mountain in flip-flops, only to find yourself wrestling with a wayward goat? Well, it seems the envious figures are a reminder that sometimes life's most significant tensions can evaporate faster than ice on a hot stone. Yes, anxiety might cast long shadows, but punctuating that with humor can often make it wither away, much like those dark figures did. The scene vibrates with discussions of the day, and here in the sun-kissed fields you stand confidently, knowing you're part of a grand tapestry woven with threads of the sacred. The laughter feels both light and healing, like the gentle weight of a child's laughter shimmering beneath the canopy of stars. And let's not forget, this spot of golden joy you find yourself in is an arena of the promise, a sanctuary where worries and woes will dance away like an overzealous kid during the annual harvest festival. Remember, feeling anxious might arrive at your door uninvited, but with a sprinkle of spirit, an abundance of love, and just enough fortitude, you can bid it adieu quicker than a traveler at a market who forgot their coin purse. As the sunlight shifts ever so delicately, watch as the field around you transforms. Retain that soothing thought. Life has its blend of light and shadow, joy and turmoil. Laughter is not only a delightful balm, but a thread that binds this incomprehensible world together, helping you navigate past the dusty ghosts of envious origins. So, As you soak in the serene beauty of this ancient pasture, let the dwindling shadows serve as a reminder. With faith as your compass, you can wander through even the murkiest fields, holding on to laughter as you forge your own path, stepping gently into the embrace of divine grace. As you bask in this warmth and prepare to melt into sweet slumber, let this escapade be your nightly comfort blanket, tucked around you by laughter and divine protection. If tonight's journey has tickled your fancy and eased your anxious heart, consider hitting like, subscribing, and gracefully dropping a comment. Only if it genuinely tickles your fancy, of course. May your dreams be stitched from the golden threads of ancient humor and celestial guardians, enfolding you in their gentle embrace. Good night, beloved listener. Chapter 12, Fields of Plenty. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord like a cozy shawl knit by a doting grandmother, sweet, reassuring, and possibly festooned with a few cats. Tonight, we're embarking on a journey to 1000 BCE, where the fertile lands of ancient Israel unfurl like a great green tapestry, captivating as a soap opera involving sheep and scallywags. Imagine, if you will, a family of humble farmers graced with a son as eternal as your aunt's "poor me" stories at family dinners. Do you ever wonder what it would feel like to have neither Wi-Fi nor deadlines, other than the occasional goat that escaped? Might you have been the kind of person who accidentally planted carrots upside down, turning them into a mini vegetable horror show? What do you think is more likely? A sheep trying to impersonate a dog, or a goat chasing its own tail? Congratulations, you've just woken up in the shimmering haze of 1000 BCE, nestled in a valley that feels as comforting as freshly baked bread cooling on a sill. The sun beams down upon a landscape drenched in an emerald glow, stretching endlessly toward the horizon. It's so mesmerizing, you might just forget that edamame lattes exist. Feel the gentle breeze ruffle your tunic, bringing with it a bouquet of nature's fragrances, wildflowers, sun-dried earth, and maybe just a hint of, was that a goat? The grassy expanse is alive with the cheerful clucking of chickens, and the sheer joy that radiates from this land seems to sparkle like the glitter your 7-year-old self once used to decorate a card for Grandma. As you breathe in deeply, you can't help but feel that life here is like one long, never-ending picnic. There's fruit to harvest, laughter to share, and leisurely afternoons spent discussing how awkwardly the local rabbi dances at weddings. Oh, how those folks would revel in each slice of life, juxtaposing the joy of a bumper crop with the very real threat of, well, a questionable neighbor's eyeing of your prized pumpkin. Let's peer a little closer. What do you see in the distance? Over there, by the olive tree, a family, contentedly gathered around their modest farmhouse, the golden rays of the sunset draping over them like the finest silk. These humble farmers have inherited land bursting with sustainability, so much so that one might think Mother Nature attended a hyper-local gardening seminar and took it way too seriously. They watch in quiet contentment as the sun sets, casting rose-tinted hues across the fields that seem almost otherworldly, like something out of an ill-fated art contest. Yet here's the twist. While you marvel at this pastoral scene, you sense tension bubbling just beneath the surface. Ah, the chatter of discontent. Rumors of nearby fields afflicted by a rare event called envy. Suddenly, fields that were once brimming with life start to wilt, just like a poorly watered fern on your kitchen counter. Just as a sheep's bleat can interrupt a heartfelt moment, envy rears its ugly head, withering what should have thrived in abundance. Who knew envy had a knack for ruining dinner parties, too? Picture it, the clouds swirling ominously, the once scrumptious-looking fruit now shriveling, a metaphorical case of the grass is always greener on the other side. As you observe these withering figures, you can almost hear the whispers of neighbors who sadly try to one-up each other with tales of sour grapes, eager to let you know just how much better their lives would be if they had that remnant of sunlight warming their backs. What a hilarious sight, really. Here they are, attempting to impress one another while juggling empty bread baskets, trying to appear as refined as the local dignitaries. "Look at us," they seem to say. "We're very much like unique artisanal baguettes, not stale and crusty. Bless their hearts." But fear not, in this whimsical tableau, you discover something profound. It's not the wealth of crops, but the richness of peace and laughter that makes life truly fruitful. Those humble farmers know the secret. Laughter can lift your spirits higher than any plump tomato. As the evening breeze carries their chuckles, you can almost hear them saying, "Neighbors envy? We'll just grow our crops and cheerfully share the bounty. They can have their sour grapes, thank you very much." As the sun dips below the horizon and the landscape transforms from vibrant greens to soothing dusk blues, it serves as a gentle reminder. What you cultivate in life matters. The land may teeter on the balance of envy and grace, but faith, laughter, and a shared meal can banish the darkness faster than a javelin-throwing competition on a sunny day. So, dear listener, take this moment to let go of anxieties while nestled in your cozy bed, like a well-fed sheep snuggling into its warm, woolly fleeces. With faith as your guiding light, remember, even when life feels prickly like a wayward thistle, the laughter of your heart will keep you grounded, peaceful, and richly alive in the fields of your own life. As you drift into a peaceful slumber, may this tale of ancient bliss wrap around you like a beloved quilt, reminding you that laughter can always turn envy on its head. If this journey has sprinkled a little joy against your worries, consider giving a gentle pat on that like button, subscribing, and sharing your favorite moment in the comments. Only if your heart feels so inclined, of course. Now, let the whispers of the night guide you into a harvest of dreams filled with divine grace and humor. Good night, cherished listener. Chapter 13. The Thirst of the Soul. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, like a cup of hot cocoa on a frosty day, comforting, sometimes a bit messy, and occasionally inspiring vivid dreams of marshmallows. Now, picture this. It's 1000 BCE, an era so distant it makes your last family reunion feel like yesterday. The early Israelite monarchy is in full swing, and you'll be exploring a land so dry that even the desert cacti are like, could we get a little more moisture here, please? You might wonder, what would it be like to live without instant messaging? How do you even survive when your biggest dilemma is, did the neighbor's donkey eat your lunch? Speaking of dilemmas, let's talk about the thirst, both for water and perhaps for those elusive good Wi-Fi signals. Have you ever felt like a plant in a drought, desperately yearning for just one drop of kindness? Or maybe you wonder if you'd be the type to survive with only your trusty goat as a companion. Try having a heart-to-heart chat with a goat. Now that's a challenging conversation. Congratulations! You've just woken up in a dry valley where not a drop of rain has fallen for as far as the eye can see. A tad anxiety-inducing, wouldn't you think? Imagine being like a thirsty deer with cracked hooves, standing by a riverbed now nothing more than a memory, its bed covered only in scattered stones. Picture the vast, sun-scorched terrain stretching endlessly under a golden sky, seemingly mocking your desperate thirst. The air is thick with dust and dry grass, rustling as if trying to whisper hopeful prayers to the heavens. Just one sprinkle, Lord, and we'll be fine. You can even take my left sandal as collateral. Can you hear it? The occasional tumbleweed rolling by like the last kid chosen for a game of dodgeball reminds you it's painfully parched too. Let's talk about our thirsty friend, the deer. It looks up at the sun, panting like it just ran a marathon while being chased by a particularly eager pack of wolves. Ever had one of those days when life feels like an endless treadmill, except you forgot to bring water? It's like trying to find a cool breeze on an August afternoon, frustrating and darn near impossible. The deer lifts its head, trying to comprehend how the sky can be so unforgiving while its thirst is apparent. You can feel a kinship with that deer, can't you? Hovering between hope and despair, like that last chocolate chip cookie in the jar that you keep reassuring yourself isn't really a big deal if you leave it for later. And as you watch, your mind drifts deeper into the thoughts of longing, not just for water, but for something more, divine. The landscape matches the inner turmoil you feel at times. It's a reflection of your own dry patches, be they emotional or spiritual. It's as if God himself whispers, "Hey, I see you, you exhausted soul. Don't worry, I got you." May our connection refresh you more than a cool drink on a sizzling day. As the sun begins to dip, casting long shadows over the cracked earth, there's an inexplicable beauty in the silence of this desperate place. The twilight creates hues that remind you of your grandmother's vintage tablecloth, with colors blending together like a painter's palette gone a bit rogue. You hear the soft rustle of leaves skipping across the ground, harmonizing with the chirps of hidden crickets as they engage in a serenade amidst the desolation. In the quiet, you recognize the whispers of peace, even when life feels parched. But let's not forget about humor. We can relate to the deer desperately trying to quench its thirst in a pint-sized drought. It's like trying to get a satisfying shower during the drip of a broken faucet. And as the deer stands there, you laugh to yourself at the thought. What if it befriended a squirrel who kept insisting that the best remedy for thirst is simply to hold its breath and contemplate a firmer belief? In this moment, as you recognize the struggles mirrored in that humble creature, you remind yourself of a divine promise. Even in the dry times, your soul can still be quenched. It's a call to dig a bit deeper, to water the seeds of hope you've planted within your spirit. Just like the deer, we can pant not only for physical hydration, but for a connection with the living God who charts a path for us through those barren landscapes. So, dear listener, let the cool winds of faith wash over you like a gentle stream reinforcing your spirit. The season may be dry, but your heart can feel every spray of love and light, even when it feels a million miles away, much like that one forgotten lost sock you can't seem to find. Tonight, as you nestle into the comfort of your bed, keep the memory of the thirsty deer close, and remember that even in desolation, you too can drink from the rivers of mercy flowing from above. As you drift into dreams tonight, may this tale of ancient thirst remind you of the refreshment that flows from faith, especially on those days when shoe shopping seems like a monumental task. If this journey quenched a bit of your own anxiety, consider giving a gentle tap on that like button, subscribing, and sharing your own thoughts on thirst, in whatever form it takes, in the comments. May the soothing whispers of the night lead you into a deep slumber filled with love, life, and perhaps an elusive fountain of chocolate. Good night, treasured listener. Chapter 14, When Mountains Fall and Cities Stand. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, like a comforting embrace from an over-enthusiastic grandma. It's that warm feeling that says, "I love you, but could you please eat an extra slice of my pie?" Tonight, we delve into a time when the earth shook like it had one too many cups of strong coffee. Yes, we're talking about the exhilarating world of 1000 BCE, where the early Israelite monarchy was just starting to write its epic saga, complete with plot twists worthy of daytime soap operas. Imagine living in a world where your biggest concern wasn't whether your espresso machine had a glitch, but rather if your neighbor's goats would break through your fence again. Ever wondered what it would be like if Wi-Fi wasn't a thing, and the most significant form of gossip was who noted the best olive harvest? And in this chaos, you somehow find tranquility among crumbling mountains, because let's face it, you'd rather cling to security than get squashed by a rock. Congratulations! You've just woken up in a land where the ground rumbles like a grumpy stomach, and mountains are about as reliable as last week's laundry. The air is crisp, almost electric, with a hint of fear wafting through the atmosphere as nature throws a tantrum. Yes, Mother Earth is having a moment. As you stand there, it hits you. This is one chaotic scene. The mountains, once watchful guardians, now tumble down like errant marbles, crashing into the sea that churns with confused fury, much like that one time you accidentally set fire to your uncle's barbecue. Sorry, Uncle Ted. You can almost hear the mountains grumbling their displeasure, moaning as they cascade into the abyss. Really? A little help here, folks? But in the heart of this tumult, there lies a peculiar little holy city, a steadfast oasis seemingly untouched by the chaos surrounding it. Picture this. While the mountains have decided to throw a tantrum, this city stands firm as the last cookie remaining in the jar when the kids come bounding through the door. It's like that moment during a family gathering when your aunt makes a chaotic announcement about her latest spiritual awakening. But you find solace in the fact that dessert is just around the corner. As you meander through the streets, you notice people moving with a calm efficiency, as if nothing could possibly rattle their cozy little world. Perhaps they're sipping on herbal teas brewed from ancient herbs like the best of tea aficionados, which definitely have to hold magical qualities. Or maybe they're just really good at using denial as their go-to coping mechanism. Who really knows? But here's where it gets interesting. The citizens show no sign of alarm. Instead, they whisper chapters of praise, their voices harmonizing like a calming choir in the midst of a storm. God is our refuge and strength, they sing, almost, defiantly, as if daring the mountains to bring it on. We've got this. You can't help but chuckle at the absurdity of it all. It's like watching your neighbor negotiate with their exceedingly stubborn cat. Come on, Fluffy. Just one more step toward the treats and it'll be smooth sailing. But Fluffy simply flops back down, completely unbothered by the world's chaos. And so it goes. It's a moment where faith and laughter intertwine, keeping their spirits buoyant. As the rumblings continue, you notice that somewhere deep in the ground, a river begins to flow. This mysterious waterway, unseen yet powerful, is a symbol of hope. It winds through this holy city, bringing life wherever it goes. Who would have thought that beneath all this chaos, serenity flows like that last bit of chocolate syrup on an eagerly awaited sundae? So, as the mountains hiss and fume like a disgruntled grandparent, the city's pulse beats steadily. Why fear, you wonder? Even when the foundations quake, the spirit doesn't have to. You chuckle, imagining what would happen if the citizens were forced to take a group yoga class, finding balance while dodging the occasional ill-timed rock slide. With each blessed moment, they embrace their surroundings, knowing that even in the electronic chaos of their day, like us checking our email mid-session in bed, spoiler alert, don't do it. The divine breath flows, offers comfort, and embraces each soul enduring tumult. And so, dear listener, as you pull the covers around you, lay back in your bed and breathe, remember that even when the mountains tumble and chaos reigns, you can find yourself still, steadfast, and held within the tranquil embrace of a holy promise. You can laugh, even in the face of a shifting world, and trust that the living waters will always carve their way through the toughest rock. So, as you ease into dreamland tonight, may this ancient tale of a resilient little city remind you that even in life's wild shakes, your faith can anchor you. If you found this journey as comforting as a warm blanket on a chilly night, think about tapping that like button, subscribing, and sharing your own thoughts on resilience or even rocky rounds in your life. Only if you'd like, of course. May the echo of ancient promises serenade you into a peaceful slumber. Sweet dreams, dear listener. Chapter 15, The Calm Amidst the Chaos. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, like that one perfect cup of coffee you finally managed to craft after a series of sleep-deprived mornings where you accidentally used salt instead of sugar. Now, isn't that a wake-up call? Tonight, we take a whimsical yet profound leap back to a time when worrying about Mount Everest falling into the sea wasn't exactly on anyone's radar. Yes, we're journeying into the bustling world of 1000 BCE. Here, the early Israelite monarchy is stirring into life, making decisions that could rival a soap opera, but with fewer commercial breaks, of course. Ever pondered what life was like when people named their children after the most recent harvest, instead of trendy names like Apple or North? Or perhaps you consider how someone could express heartbreak without a Dear John letter or, heaven forbid, social media. Imagine living where your most challenging device was a wooden spoon, and the closest thing to scrolling was watching your neighbor's sheep get a little too adventurous and wander into your camp. Congratulations, you've just woken up on a battlefield, a place where chaos reigns supreme, and the clash of metal and the cacophony of battle sounds fill the air like an out-of-tune orchestra determined to knock your socks off. Let's take a moment to picture this scene. As you shake off the sleep from your eyes, all around you are soldiers, frozen in a chaotic dance. A wooden bow, splintered and defeated, lies helplessly on the ground like a broken promise from a friend who never showed up to bring dessert. A spear stands splintered, caught mid-flight, as if pausing for a selfie in this fierce and bizarre scrapbook of mayhem. But wait, amid the loud clang of armor and the scent of sweat, something extraordinary happens. A calm, authoritative voice pierces through the tumult, echoing across the field like a wise old tree sharing its secrets with the wind. "Be still," it whispers sternly. "Know that I am God." The chaos stirs momentarily as if someone whispered, "Free pizza," in a crowd of hungry millennia-wandering Israelites. Like an awkwardly timed musical interlude, warriors pause mid-swing, mid-shout. Everything halts abruptly. It's as if someone pressed pause on a movie, leaving everyone caught in the middle of their overjoyed or panic-stricken expressions. Ever seen a cat freeze mid-pounce? It's like that, but with more armor and fewer furballs. The air grows heavy and serene, the kind of silence that accompanies the aftermath of a sneeze in a library. Your eyes scan the battlefield, taking in the faces of men who were just moments ago ready to hurl insults, or perhaps a spear, and now stand like mannequins frozen in time. You can almost hear the thoughts colliding in their heads. Should I have ordered more arrows? Or do you think my new shield looks good in sunlight? Strange calm descends, as if nature itself is trying to repair the chaos with a bit of divine pause. Picture it. Even the leaves rustle gently in anticipation, like they're leaning in to catch the juiciest gossip. The trees nod knowingly, as if saying, "You thought you were tough with your fancy metal, but behold, the creator of the universe speaks, and that trumps the sharpest of swords." As you breathe in this peace, you sense an unusual mixture of humor and gravitas. Imagine a commander, scratch that, an entire army, leaning on the well-established practice of people wanting to look brave while a wise voice calls into a fray. I mean, really, you chuckle softly to yourself. Who needs a battle when you have a divine intervention with such fabulous timing? Like scheduling a spa day right before your big workout, for contrast. And then the battle resumes. Or rather, it doesn't. It stills, as the warriors and commanders find themselves compelled into reflection by the voice above. Here, peace reigns, like the ultimate peacekeeper at a holiday dinner where the turkey is burnt, but somehow everyone finds a reason to come together and laugh about it. This, dear listener, is the moment when all of life's tensions intertwine with the eternal promise of peace. Imagine the warriors, distracted from their swords and shields, thinking deeply about their lives and choices, maybe contemplating whether they could trade the sword for a nice scroll. How sensible! Why fight today, they muse amongst themselves, when we can simply recite chapters and gather for tea instead? In this wild tapestry, resolve and laughter emerge side by side, like two best friends clinking their glasses over an absurd but delightful toast. And so, as you close your eyes and allow the whispers of ages gone by to wrap around you, remember that even in chaos, peace can break through like laughter after a good punchline. You see, dear listener, while the battle of life may seem like a flurry of confusion, The promise of stillness in the face of turmoil remains an echo of divine assurance. As you sink deeper into the embrace of sleep tonight, may these timeless moments remind you that calm will come, even in the most chaotic of days. If this little jaunt into the absurdities of ancient life tickled your fancy like a feathered pillow, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing the laughter of this experience, only if it truly brings you joy, of course. May the whispers of ages past guide you into a peaceful slumber. Sweet dreams, dear listener.
Chapter 16. Tears Turned to Tapestry. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, like a comforting blanket on a chilly winter night. Or perhaps like the first delicious yolk of an egg after a particularly gruesome attempt at breakfast. You'd think, after all these years, raising an egg would involve fewer disasters, right? Tonight, we embark on a journey more mysterious than your neighbor's incessant obsession with raising chickens. Yes, dear listener, we're diving into the year 1000 BCE, during the early Israelite monarchy. Have you ever wondered how people managed to complain before the invention of texts or social media? Or how they communicated their dissatisfaction about last night's dinner when "you'll get no dessert" just didn't have the same impact? Picture yourself having to write your feelings on a piece of stone instead of tapping them out on a sleek smartphone. How exactly did ancient scribes convey the delicate nuances of heartbreak, boredom, or sheer lack of Wi-Fi? Well, congratulations, you've just woken up in the heart of a settlement buzzing with activity, where the scent of burning incense dances through the air like a persistent mosquito you just can't catch. Here, in the stillness of night, an extraordinary spectacle unfolds. A soul, ensnared in relentless anguish, weeps silently beside flickering oil lamps that sway like they're listening to an unseen choir of crickets. Let us pause for a moment and take in this scene. Close your eyes, well, only if you really want to, and open your imagination. Picture a quiet corner of the world, illuminated by the gentle glow of moonlight. The air thick with the perfume of ripe figs and the lingering echo of distant laughter. Yet, here sits a heart heavier than a stone table set for an awkward family dinner. In this moment, you feel the weight of the world. Each tear, a syllable in the unending parchment of suffering that it feels like you've been carrying for a lifetime. As the tears trickle down, can you hear the soft whispers of discomfort? Perhaps it's akin to being pricked by a thorn, only to find out it was a particularly feisty rose bush you tried to smell. But something miraculous stirs. An invisible, luminous hand appears, gracefully catching each shimmering drop like a masterful artisan gathering beads for a dazzling tapestry. Every tear recorded on a magnificent ancient scroll, listing every misery and sorrow, like an overzealous historian chronicling the neighborhood gossip, but with a lot more emotional weight. Isn't it funny how, in modern life, our moments of despair don't just show up on social media feeds for all to see, but instead, they become these silent struggles we often keep tucked away. In 1000 BCE, they didn't have the luxury of scrolling through curated photos to escape. Instead, they found solace in chronicling their own stories, etched in the parchment of time. As the weeper continues to pour their heart into this divine ledger, the luminous hand seems to dance beautifully between each tear, creating what could only be described as the most extravagant artwork. It's as if the cosmos decided to host a therapeutic art night, utilizing the world's saddest moments for stunning interpretations. Like an emotional Monet, or maybe more like a Jackson Pollock capturing chaos, but perhaps with a tad more finesse. Why me? The soul cries softly, more helpless than a cat caught trying to fit into a neatly folded laundry basket. But amidst this heaviness of emotion, something wonderful begins to happen. With each tear recorded, an ineffable sense of release follows. It's like finally putting down that heavy bag after a long day. Ah, sweet relief. You might wonder how it feels to watch your pain transformed into something beautiful, akin to seeing the results of a well-planned meal prep unfold after an hour of intense meal prep struggle. Here, each sorrow drifts into a dream of hope, as if the hand collecting the tears speaks softly. Every drip matters, dear one. This journey will become your strength. Now imagine a world around this soul, a place where such deep emotional currents ebb and flow like the maddening tides. Others may pass by, lost in their daily hustle, blissfully unaware of the quiet beauty surrounding their heartache. They might be chatting about the price of sheep or grumbling over the weather, not realizing that in this very moment, each tear is a thread being woven into a grand narrative of life. So as our emotional weeper finds solace amidst the shimmering drops that gleam like starlight against the dark canvas of the night, you can't help but chuckle at the delightful absurdity of life. Forget about the pressures, the deadlines, the daily woes. What if you could just sit with those feelings, pour them into something spectacular, and find laughter tucked somewhere in the corner of despair? And now, dear listener, let these words carry you into the realm of dreams, where your own tapestry can unfurl. Each thread of joy and sorrow combines to form the artistry that makes life so breathtaking and mysterious. The tears you've shed and the ones yet to come are equally wrapped in the embrace of grace and potential. As you sink into a peaceful slumber, know that even amid the bitterness of heavy tears, beauty can emerge, showcasing your resilience with every delicate thread woven into the fabric of life. May your sleep be untroubled and your dreams vivid as the scroll that reveals the heart's deepest truths. If you found joy in this gentle journey through ancient struggles, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this experience, though only if it genuinely adds to your life, dear friend. May peace and laughter accompany you always. Sweet dreams, dear listener.
Chapter 17, The Fortress of Solitude. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapter will warm your heart by the Lord, like wrapping yourself in a fluffy blanket right after you've tripped over an invisible cord in your living room. Oh, the graceful art of not being graceful. Tonight, we shall gather around the warm embers of ancient wisdom, deeper than the abyss of your fridge at 2 a.m. What's hidden in there anyway? Spoiler alert, it probably shouldn't see the light of day. Imagine a time marked by kings and battles, yet humorously tinged by daily struggles, much like your attempts to open jars that, for some unfathomable reason, seem to hold more power over you than a stubborn toddler trying to refuse a bath. Have you ever thought what it would be like to face anxiety without caffeine, social media, or your trusty cat videos? Now, dear listener, let's dim the lights, put on a soothing fan, because who needs a peaceful breeze, and get all snugly in your favorite corner. As we sink deeper into this adventure, questions swirl like wind around a campfire. What do you think it was like to shout at enemies from behind the safety of some rocks? Did people back then throw their hands up like, why on earth are we so afraid of these guys? We should just stop running. And how did they deal with those, I just lost my last sheep moments without a flock of supportive friends texting, you got this? Well, congratulations. You've just woken up in 1000 BCE, the era of the early Israelite monarchy, where rock climbing wasn't just a sport, it was essential survival. Picture this. A dramatic storm rumbles ominously overhead, accompanied by threatening silhouettes of enemies drawing near, reminiscent of that feeling when the Wi-Fi goes down, and suddenly, you realize you must face your own thoughts. Let's talk about rocks. No, not the kind you throw when frustrated. Picture a rugged, towering formation that looms in the distance, bold and majestic, like an ancient fortress fluffed up for battle. With each rumble of thunder, your heart races, and anxiety spikes like the last 3 minutes of a thriller movie. While modern listeners might say, can we not just Google the answer? Back then, answers weren't just a search away.
They were deeply rooted in the earth beneath your feet. You scrambled toward this grand, unassailable rock formation, breathless and panting like a dog who's just chased its tail one too many times. And as you ascend, something magical happens. The rock shifts and transforms into a magnificent stone tower, offering a comforting, welcoming shelter from the storm. You can almost hear it softly humming a tune, perhaps one of those catchy jingle songs you can't seem to shake off for days. Picture it, our hero, the brave soul standing triumphant, like a player who finally scores that elusive goal, only to be met with the lingering question, is it worth the gelato afterward? Inside this refuge, there's something soothing in the air, an ethereal calm settling over your racing heart. The winds howl outside, promising damp and discomfort. Yet here in your fortress, you feel inexplicably safe, as if being wrapped in an oversized woolen sweater that your grandmother knitted at the age of 85, with a few too many holes. As you linger here, you can't help but chuckle at the absurdity of life. You're huddled within a stone tower that feels like a cozy cafe, complete with imagined lattes that keep the anxiety at bay. Thunder crashes, but instead of dread, you feel reassured. A moment of calm amidst the absurd chaos surrounding you. Life's worries buzz outside like pesky flies, but in here, it's quiet, almost deliciously so. So what's next, you think, your mind wandering? Maybe organize an impromptu party to celebrate your impeccable taste in stone towers? Perhaps even invite those pesky enemies over for tea and biscuits? After all, who says you can't make peace from a stronghold? I come in peace and snacks. Enveloped by the warmth of this fortress and the absurd companion of a stormy evening, you find solace. The laughter of life beckons, whispering, "Look at you, daring to stand your ground against the raging world with only a couple of thoughts to keep you company." Isn't it strange how you can feel so small and yet so significant? Like a slice of cheese sitting in the fridge next to a container of 6-day-old leftovers? And as you gaze out from your stony sanctuary, you realize something wonderful. Even amidst storms and adversaries, this tower offers something invaluable: safety, security, and a dash of humor. Yes, dear listener, sometimes we need a lofty fortress, at least until we remember how utterly ridiculous life can be, with all its storms and warriors. In the end, laughter may just be the best shield of all. May your sleep be untroubled tonight, even as the storms rage elsewhere. Trust the process, even as insecurity throws its best tantrums. And if you found joy in this whimsical journey, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing. But only if you actually enjoyed it. No pressure. Sweet dreams, dear listener.
Chapter 18. The Leeway of the Leaning Wall. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, like discovering the perfect banana. A little speckled, but just the right amount of sweet. Tonight, we dive deep into the ancient times of 1000 BCE, where kings ruled, armies marched, and crafting a decent, lint-free tunic was top priority. You might want to turn back to the Roman Empire for that last one, though, because those tunics, a true fashion statement or a recipe for discomfort? Let's debate that in our subconscious dreams. Imagine this, a world where a bad hair day is the least of your worries, but rather, it's about whether you can safely scale a wall without getting thrown over by an anxious mob. And let's not even start on the charming little huts made of mud and stone, reminding you of your favorite scary Halloween house. It raised the question, were the builders of these structures truly artists, or just excellent at hiding from the rain? Now, as you dim the lights, crank up the fan for that majestic breeze, because at this hour, who even needs a glamorous wind machine? And snuggle up deep in your blankets, let's ponder some profound questions. Would you have kept your cool if a chorus of raucous villagers decided to toss you off a crumbling wall? Maybe you'd just make a game out of it. Hey friends, Let's see who can balance on the edge longer before that next gust of anxiety takes us flying. Or perhaps, would you have gathered an army of sheep for backup? Because we all know, sheep might just be our furry support group. Ah, dear listener, congratulations. You've just woken up in 1000 BCE, the era of the early Israelite monarchy, where it turns out that daily dramas had less to do with TikTok and more to do with literal looming dangers. Picture this. The sun beat down on your back while birds squawked undergo the threat of your imminent demise from an unstable wall. Yes, the cult-like gatherings sometimes involved plans against travelers like you, simply trying to find a place to rest. From the corner of your eye, the villagers leer like undisputed champions of a staring contest. They're not just giving you the side eye, they're practically drafting you your own execution playlist. The wall, towering and precariously leaning like a drunk uncle after too much wine, becomes your frenetic fortress. You swallow hard, realizing that if you had $1 for every time you faced impending doom, you'd be the richest traveler on the block, assuming you could find a safe bank back in those days. And just as the townsfolk gather conspiracy-like, plotting your downslide, the sweet harmony of a different plan stirs in your heart. Nearby lies a beautiful rock formation, unwavering, immovable, a steadfast symbol of hope. This rock of salvation stands tall against the erratic whims of common folk. Think of it as the heavenly bouncer of anxiety, only without the dark shades and mean scowls. Let's pause for a moment. Don't you just love the blissful sound of rustling leaves? It's like nature's white noise machine, a soothing lullaby serenading you along. You can almost hear the calming whispers of ancient wisdom swirling around you. In your mind's eye, you imagine this unshakable rock glowing like it's just been dropped into a Pinterest feed with a "you won't believe what's on the other side" caption. Breathless, you make your way toward this glorious haven. As you approach, the more anxious villagers seem to lose their power. They can't throw you off a rock that's firmly anchored into the bedrock of existence. Not on their watch. It's like trying to pry away your favorite blanket on a chilly night. Good luck to them. Once snug against the rock, a delightful calm washes over you, the kind that lights up your insides like a well-worn fireplace after a chilly day. You lean back, letting every tension slide away. The wall seems worlds away. It's almost as if this rock is like a busy barista, whipping you up a divine serving of peace. Hold the anxiety, please. While laughter echoes from the distant village, their wild plots nearing unwelcome fruition, your heart is sheltered from their scheming sins. You could consider starting a prophetic club, passing around a sign that reads, "You throw me, I'll bless you with thoughts no one will forget." But tonight, you choose to be calm. Maybe you even humor yourself with thoughts about a community gathering. Please bring your snacks, but leave your pitchforks at home. In this moment, humor dances lightly around you, a reminder that while chaos surrounds, a flicker of joy is quite the marvel. In the depths of despair, a chuckle can do wonders. And as the night grows cooler and darker, surrounding turmoil dancing like fireflies, you remind yourself that amidst the chaos, that rock is steadfast, a home for your weary soul. May you find your own rocks of salvation when life feels like a precarious wall ready to tip. So drift to sleep, dear listener, knowing that while the world spins ceaselessly, you can always find your way back to tranquility. And sometimes, it's just a stone's throw away. Remember, laughter is sometimes the best armor, and a good night's sleep is the finest sanctuary. If you enjoyed this whimsical voyage through the annals of ancient trials, consider giving a gentle tap on the like button, perhaps even subscribing if the mood strikes. Your dreams await, so surrender to the night. Sweet dreams, dear listener.
Chapter 19, The Mirage of the Desert.
Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, like finding a forgotten cookie crumbled at the bottom of your bag. unexpected sweetness when all else seems bleak. Tonight, we venture into the sun-scorched sands of 1000 BCE, where the only air conditioning came from a well-placed palm tree, and daily woes revolved around whether you could find a freshwater source before the sun turned you into a sun-dried tomato. So, if you could just avoid the prickly cacti, we'd be all set, because those spines, not even the finest salve could soothe them. Do you ever wonder what it would be like to wake up in a place where fast food meant nibbling on an occasional dried worm? You can almost hear the ancient townsfolk saying, "A little protein never hurt anyone." Or, how about the existential crises sparked by running out of water? "Thou shalt not thirst" might have been the motto, but the reality sounded more like an ancient rendition of, "Where dost thou keep thy hydration, O trendy shepherd?" Imagine yourself under that merciless sun, every bead of sweat whispering, "Have you thought about a nice, cool drink of water?" If you had a coin for every time you regretted skipping breakfast, you'd have enough to buy a road ice chest, if only such delightful conveniences existed. Ah, dear listener, congratulations. You've just transported yourself to 1000 BCE, the era where the sun was an unrelenting boss, keeping you alert and parched. Now, picture yourself in a vast desert surrounded by golden dunes, where the air has the same taste as yesterday's dust, and your throat feels like a cracked pottery jug. You kneel down, desperately hoping for a refreshing quench, but all around you, there's just more sand. Sand that keeps on mocking you. It's like that one friend who always brings up your bad hair day. Why, oh why, does life have a way of placing obstacles at every turn? But hold on a minute. Look way off in the distance. Is that shimmering glimmer your eyes are beholding? A magnificent, powerful sanctuary rising from the dunes. A mirage of glory that could make statuesque pillars appear like mere garden gnomes. Your heart skips a beat, whispering to you sweet promises of respite, like the way a successful online shopping trip feels. The thrill of having a package you forgot you ordered arrive at your door. Yes, imagine a wellspring not just for your throat, but for your weary soul. Let's talk about walking towards that oasis. With each step, you're practically rehearsing those movie of the week scenes where the heroine finally finds sanctuary. Does it involve a slow motion run? Maybe a dance? You could get creative and channel your inner Broadway star. It's a dry world, but I'm alive with a thirst for redemption. By the time you get there, you'll either be fantastically overdramatic or accidentally sprained an ankle on nothing but wishful thinking. Now, as your feet shuffle along the scorching sand, every grain seems to be reminding you how far you still have to go. That sanctuary is shimmering, like a piece of foil being waved in front of a hungry child. Just a little bit further. You've got this. Your self-talk quickly turns into full-scale motivational speaking. Come on, you can do it. You are strong. Even the cacti didn't kill you. But wait, what's that sound? It's almost like a cheering crowd. Oh, sweet Jesus, they've come to welcome you with water and snacks. Actually, no. Just the wind making the sand drum like a medieval applause, igniting visions of grand feasts with goblets overflowing. The villagers, likely seated in their mud huts, might be head-shaking over the shenanigans you are conducting. There goes that infatuated traveler again. What are we going to do with him? Start charging for his hydration stunt shows? Yet, despite the absurdity, the closer you get to that shimmering mirage, the more your doubts begin to drift away. A sweet release reminiscent of your morning coffee slowly taking effect. Do you feel that cool breeze all of a sudden, too? It's like a heavenly air conditioner just turned on because God knows we all need a little fan action in life. As you stand before the mirage, hopeful, drenched in sweat, the sight of promise blinks back at you. But what lies beneath this hopeful facade? Monuments that were dreams? Or perhaps ruins that were once grand?
Just imagine all the feet that have tread this very spot. Echoes of laughter mingling with desperation, both lost and found in the sand. It's like the spirit of the world reminding you that you are but one part of a vast story, an eternal connection to all that has passed before you. So, dear listener, as the sun sinks low and your imagination dances between reality and potential, may the soothing balm of ancient words provide a wellspring for your weary soul. Drift beneath their spell. Let the calm wrap around you, just like a beloved blanket. Life may be a desert journey at times, but every step brings us closer to shade and satisfaction. And as night melds into a tapestry of soft shadows, you turn towards the horizon, thankful that, in this wild world of mirages and mysteries, your very own oasis of hope isn't too far off. With a light heart and serene mind, surrender to the night. May sweet dreams wash over you like gentle waves lapping the shore. If this whimsical adventure into our historical odyssey has lightened your wonderful spirit, I humbly invite you to tap that like button. Leave a comment, share your thoughts, only if you truly enjoyed it. Your journey into restful slumber awaits. Good night, dear listener, and may dreams guide you home.
Chapter 20, Beneath the Wings of Grace. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapter will wrap you up in God's comforting embrace like your favorite worn-out blanket, hugging you just right on a chilly evening. So let's cozy up, shall we? Tonight, we travel back more than 3,000 years to the Iron Age, a time when going viral meant your goat unexpectedly became the village's best fashion model. If only Instagram had existed back then. Ever ponder what life was like before Netflix, streaming series, or even that delightful invention called takeout? I mean, how did they survive without binge-watching their favorite shows over bowls of popcorn? It likely involved endless tales around campfires, likely shared while trying to swat away exceedingly enthusiastic mosquitoes. And let me tell you, if you ever wanted a live-action version of a horror movie, just try getting cozy with an uninvited swarm looking for late-night snacks. Can you imagine choosing between a bowl of barley soup or soggy flatbreads for dinner? You squint suspiciously at those flatbreads like they might sprout legs and run away. If I wanted a surprise dinner, I'd have just invited the neighbors over and hoped for the best, you think. Congratulations. You've just woken up in 1000 BCE, the dawn of the early Israelite monarchy, where the darkness of night meant more than just dimming lights. It often meant dealing with shadows filled with uncertainty and anxiety. But fear not, for there's more than just darkness here. Look, you're resting beneath enormous protective wings. Yes, wings that would make even the most dramatic fashion runway pale in comparison. Picture this. The night is still, like the calm after a toddler has finally gone to sleep. Fingers crossed that they stay that way. You are cocooned under those colossal wings, feeling the impressive presence surround you like a well-stuffed pillow fort. Think of it as the ultimate bodyguard, ensuring no doubts or worries creep in from the shadows. Yet, the world outside isn't as cozy. Nighttime can be full of those pesky anxieties, darting around like that awkward friend who just can't take a hint. But under these divine wings, something extraordinary happens. The overwhelming darkness of the night is pierced by a single, faithful light, a beacon that feels like a divine flashlight cut from heavenly cloth. Let's talk sensibilities. The light almost perforates the heavy weight of worry wrapping you up, illuminating the vastness of the night. You can almost hear it whispering, "Worry not. You've got an entire celestial squad watching over you." It's like having a super team of angels ready to defend you with the finesse of ancient ninja skills, without the need for an actual dojo. How's that for a protective upgrade? Now, as you lie there, what do the nights feel like in this ancient world under the watchful wings? The air is deep and warm, with just a hint of the earthy scent that graces the land after a rain, like nature's promise of start anew. You might even be imagining what it smells like when dinner comes simmering over an open fire,
or when freshly baked bread escapes from that ancient oven. The aroma has been known to make even the sturdiest warriors lose their focus, which is quite impressive if you think about it. But there you are, wrapped in serenity, where the only drama underway is the occasional rustling of leaves. Ever had one of those moments where you laugh at how everything around you chases peace, but giggles in absurdity? You realize that perhaps the real humor of the universe lies in its paradoxes. And what of the stars dancing above? They twinkle with a mischievous sparkle, almost winking at you as if to say, "Look at you, finding comfort in the midst of chaos." It's as if they conspire with the light to keep the unsettling whispers of the night at bay. You snuggle further under those monumental wings, feeling the gentle heartbeat of tranquility merging with the pulse of the universe. Suddenly, a voice punctuates the soft night air, proclaiming, perhaps from nearby fields, those faithful words of shelter and hope. "The Lord is my refuge and my fortress," it sings out, lifting the spirits, your own heart beating in time. It's the sort of reminder that sends shivers of joy down your spine. Yes, that's right. I'm under some serious angelic protection. Who needs a stress ball when I have this? As you drift away, basking beneath the glorious wings and enveloped by the gentle glow, it feels as though you've discovered a secret. Life is a collection of miraculous moments stitched together by greater grace. May the diverse tapestry of God's kindness weave through your dreams, soothing any lingering worries. Remember, dear listener, even when shadows loom and uncertainties trip you up, that luminous light is always within reach. Here, under the mighty wings of grace, there's only comfort, laughter, and perhaps just the right amount of cozy quirkiness to lull you into dreamland. So, with that thought nestled warmly in your heart, let's glide softly into slumber, where sweet moments await just dawn's gentle touch, making each morning a new opportunity for joy and reflection. Rest now, knowing you are held safely within the confines of grace, snuggled close to peace. Good night, dear listener, and may your dreams be filled with whispered hymns of love and hope. If this serenade of ancient refuge brought a smile, go ahead and give that thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments, and sleep well, always knowing you are surrounded by His everlasting grace.
Chapter 21. Stomping Feared Beasts with Divine Ease. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord, akin to a hot cup of herbal tea after an overzealous tree-hugger fest. Tonight, we venture into the rugged wilderness of 1000 BCE, where going viral meant your beloved donkey just learned to moonwalk. Imagine the village whispers, "Did you see that? The donkey was breaking it down like it was Saturday night at a feast." But really, let's ponder how people entertained themselves without the delights of television, coffee shops, or mobile phones. Back then, live performances were strictly local, and trust me, a goat's rendition of a hit Broadway number wasn't going to cut it. It was more akin to improvisational comedy, with livestock occasionally swiping the spotlight to gossip about this season's crop yields, or, worse yet, sharing their ex-relationships with humans. Oh, sure, she said she loved me, but then she offered me a bite of that leftover flatbread, and I knew. Another one bites the dust. Congratulations! You've just woken up in 1000 BCE, ready to navigate through the Iron Age, where the biggest issues weren't always food or family drama, but rather how to sidestep wild beasts and keep your tunic clean. Now, you, brave listener, are standing on a dusty desert path where the sands whisper secrets older than your mother's favorite chair. But what lies ahead might surprise you. A writhing, coiled lion and a venomous cobra lounge cockily across your path like they own the place. Ah, nothing says welcome to the wild quite like unusual hazards. So you might be wondering, what's the protocol here? Do I call pest control? Or is there a specific skincare regimen for avoiding snake bites? And as you ponder this, you take a fearless step forward. What's that? You don't even flinch at the lion lounging lazily beneath your feet, and you seem completely unfazed as your sandals meet the lips of that poisonous cobra. It's astonishing, really. The lion looks up at you, bewildered, perhaps reevaluating its life choices. Could I actually be beaten by a mere mortal? It seems to ponder. You carry on, feeling only a slight breeze from your fearless demeanor. The weight of the world, the fears, the uncertainties, poof, vanished into dust. In this timeless moment, you channel the essence of warriors past, with the grace of a gazelle and perhaps even the swagger of a royal peacock. The impression of calm radiates from you, catching the attention of passing shepherds who dropped their jaws in utter disbelief, as if to ask, is that the latest fashion sense or merely divine intervention? As you step firmly across the backs of these fearsome creatures, you bubble over with laughter while the air thickens with the aroma of sun-warmed earth and desert wildflowers. You might be thinking, what on earth would I do for a good cup of something other than water right now? But let's be honest. Would you even trade this moment of triumph for a beverage? No brew could rival the courage coursing through your veins. How does it feel to be invulnerable, dear listener? Maybe take a peek at that lion nearly nodding off while draped like an ancient king who couldn't be bothered to rise. The cobra is left slack-jawed, as if caught between a lovely nap and an existential crisis. You can practically hear them whispering to each other. Who are they? And do they come with a side of bread? As you glide across, you take a moment to observe the scenery around you. Towering mountains painted in shades of orange and red, the setting sun dipping low, an artist's palette unveiled just for you. Why, oh why, does life always seem to show off its beauty at moments like these, when faced with immense odds? Your confidence blossoms like the most resilient of flowers in the wild, and the shadowy threats no longer intimidate you. Instead, you chuckle through your fears. I walked through the lion's den, and all I got was a humorous tale to share. You carry the light of divinity and humor with you, effortlessly showing that the secret to life is often wrapped in simplicity. Laugh at what terrifies you. Embrace each moment with courage. Even in the oldest stories, the moral remains clear. Remember who you are, and fear not those who lie in wait. This sacred ground, fertile with tales left by ancestors, reminds you that each step you take can transcend the wildest of trials. As you stroll further along your path, can you feel that sense of divine purpose? And so, you wander, a conqueror among the beasts, surrounded by the echoes of faith that carry softly in the desert wind, whispering, you are protected, you are loved. With every footfall, you claim your strength, knowing well that something far greater has your back. The spiritual force sowed deeply like seeds in fertile soil. Could it be that you were meant to trample through peril gracefully all along? As you embrace life's absurdities and the peculiarities of the wild, you may find yourself drifting into a slumber filled with divine courage and unwavering hope. Sleep well, dear listener, with the knowledge that you carry the essence of bravery deeper than any fear, woven into the very fabric of your soul. May your dreams be filled with gentle victories and whispers of strength as the night unfurls its stars, a reminder of the battles you've triumphed over and those yet to come.
Chapter 22, The Fragile Bloom of Life.
Welcome, dear listener. Tonight's chapters will warm your heart like a hot stone wrapped in a warm blanket on a chilly night. We're venturing back to 1000 BCE, when life wasn't so much about hopping into the car for a quick grocery run, but rather a game of hide and seek with wild beasts and the occasional feuding tribe. Imagine meal planning. Do we go with roasted goat or squirrel stew today? Decisions. So, as you settle in, I invite you to dim the lights, flick on that fan you'll undoubtedly justify as a mood-setting device, and shuffle into a comfy spot that says, I'm ready for an ancient snooze fest. In a world where the biggest technological advancement was figuring out how to make pointy rocks sharp, it's hard not to wonder, what did people back then do for relaxation? Did they have spa days where they lounged in mud? Or perhaps competitive napping was an Olympic event? It's time to judge who can snore the loudest. But let's pull up your cozy pillows and transport you to our setting. A lush field bursting with wildflowers, buzzing bees, and an unexpected breeze. Congratulations, you've just woken up in 1000 BCE, the Iron Age, the period when the biggest concern wasn't just cutting bread, but dodging marauding sheep. Now, take a moment to ask yourself, how on earth would you find your way to the nearest village without GPS? Maybe you'd follow the friendly cow in a subplot worthy of a sitcom. Or picture yourself politely asking that overly confident bee for directions. Excuse me, my good fellow, how does one get to the nearest source of baked goods without being chased by a warlord? As you ponder these delightful scenarios, picture this. You're out in nature, and right next to you, a delicate flower begins to bloom. Its petals stretch open, revealing vibrant colors that shimmer in the sunlight. You might even say it's the influencer of flowers, its brightness begging for a selfie opportunity. Yet, like all things in life, it is ephemeral, reminding you of the brevity of existence. Let's paint a scene. A gentle breeze sweeps through the field, tickling the petals. You can almost hear the flower gasp in surprise, while feeling like it just left a particularly awkward conversation. And then, whoosh! A sudden gust has swept through like a runaway chariot, tossing the delicate creature aside. Poof! In the blink of an eye, it's gone, leaving only a memory and a tiny sprinkle of pollen. Ah, life is like that flower, isn't it? One moment you're dancing in the sunshine, and the next, you're just a pile of dust, reminding others what was once here. Kind of like that questionable haircut you had in college. In a world filled with uncertainty and trials, isn't it comforting to remember that every flower, like every person, has a purpose, even if just for a fleeting moment? You might imagine the villagers gathering at dusk to relive stories of bravery against marauding beasts as if they were narrators of a timeless drama. Can you believe the way that flower glimmered in the afternoon light? Truly astounding. And while washers and weavers might gossip about the newest cloak trends, the flower is quietly reminding you of the beauty in transience, how life unfolds like a vibrant tapestry, influenced by the winds of change. Imagine a wise elder shaking their head while gesturing dramatically. Gather near, children. Let me teach you about the flowers. They are like our lives, resilient, yet so easily whisked away. Cherish them. And you imagine all the kids yelling, us? Or just the flowers? Because we're really hoping it's not us. Much laughter erupts, echoing through the hills as the sun sets. Now, turning to thoughts of you, what echoes will you leave behind? As powerful as the winds that sweep through your metaphorical flowers, your actions echo long after you're gone. In this moment of reflection, feel the weight of life's fragility. Accept it with a chuckle, for sometimes between laughter and sorrow lies a beautiful balance. So, dear listener, as you drift between the realms of wakefulness and slumber, may you embrace each ephemeral moment like that beloved flower in the field. There's wisdom in laughter, both in the beauty of living and the gentle reminder that every fleeting moment is worth cherishing. Now, allow yourself to bask in the comforting embrace of shared memories, knowing that just as the flowers bloom and fade, you too contribute to the vibrant tapestry of life. Sleep well and dream sweetly, knowing that even in your wisdom, you might just be a flower in the rays of a fleeting sunset. Chapter 23, The Liberation of the Captive Spirit. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord like a freshly baked loaf of bread. Just make sure not to burn your fingers because, let's be honest, A hot loaf is far happier when it's not sent flying across the room in an involuntary flail. Tonight, we dive deeper into the narrative of our ancestors who roamed around just before the dawn of the Iron Age, a time when flipping through channels on a Saturday night would have meant flipping through the actual landscape to find something to watch, perhaps a herd of sheep or a quarrel over territory. So, if you would be so kind, like, subscribe, and comment, but only if you actually enjoy this. We wouldn't want to twist your arm into a joyful experience. Now, it's time to dim those lights. Turn on that fan of yours. It's not just a little gust of air. It's the ancient wind telling tales of times gone by. Snuggle into a comfy spot, a nook or cranny that feels like it was designed for an epic nap, preferably one far from the shopping cart of life. As your mind drifts back to those wild days, have you ever considered how much simpler, or absurd, everyday life was back then? Would you be more concerned about dinner or dodging wolves? Ever tried sewing a tunic with only leaves and twigs? Or perhaps you'd be the resident herbalist, trying to convince neighbors that those fragrant herbs were, in fact, way better than anything you could find at an ancient marketplace. Now, congratulations. You've just woken up in 1000 BCE, the Iron Age, where the biggest concern was not just how to toast marshmallows over an open flame, but dodging wanting to be friends goblins and the occasional grumpy neighbor with a penchant for grave disputes. Imagine waking up one morning, rolling out of your straw mattress, stretching your arms, and wham, getting snagged by thick, inky ropes, crisscrossing around your body like the worst game of Twister ever devised. That's right. As you try to wiggle free, your mind echoes the panic of tangled cords of death that envelop a desperate figure, pulling them slowly into the yawning jaws of a grave. Doesn't sound like a fun Friday night, does it? As you drift deeper into this wild scene, the sensation of those ropes might tighten around your soul, and your heart races, your thoughts trapped in an anxiety loop. But wait, as if a superhero burst forth from the depths, a radiant light shatters the shadows. The figure is finally freed from these agonizing chains. It's as if the brightest sunbeam decided to moonwalk its way through the gloom, laughing away the very essence of silence, filling the atmosphere with joyous laughter instead. Breathe in that newfound freedom. The air is sweet, draped with wildflower aromas and faint hints of the marketplace. The sounds mingle into a euphoric soundscape. The once terrifying landscape seems more like a gentle interlude, as if for centuries, shadows have been waiting for someone to lift the curtain on a joyous orchestral performance. Your heart, dear listener, is now lighter than a feather on a summer's breeze. You might chuckle amidst the chaos. What would it have even been like to give a pep talk to a flower about bravery? Excuse me, Mr. Bloom, could you budge over a bit? I'm trying to shake loose from these heavy ropes. Like the cheerful villager discussing how last week's harvest went, you share in the community's laughter, drawing smiles from fear and despair as forgiveness ripples across tangled souls. Hey, remember the time the night sky got jealous of our dancing and the stars threw in a sparkler show? Now there's a tale worth recounting during those long nights. But even amidst the humor, there is tenderness. That powerful light represents salvation, a beacon guiding souls from the shackles of anxiety to the realms of peace. Just as you may have once tangled your hair while trying to be stylish, you realize this freedom is yours. You too can press away the anxious thoughts and revealing chains, lighting your path. Through love, wisdom, and laughter, we weave our lives into an opus of hope and resilience, ready to serve as the guiding stars for the next generation. As you welcome these ancient tales into your dreams tonight, may every shadow dissolve, every forgotten whisper breathe new life, and every tangled rope release you into your starry, celestial bed. So drift away, dear listener, into the restorative warmth of your dreams, knowing that even in the darkest times, the light of peace will break through the bonds and lead you home to serenity. Sleep well, with a sprinkle of laughter, and the knowledge that you are always, always loved.
Chapter 24 of Mountains and Mines.
Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord like a steaming bowl of chicken soup. Just make sure you don't trip over your cat while you're trying to serve it, as that might result in more than just a spill. Tonight, we venture into a valley, far before the days of air conditioning and Wi-Fi, where the biggest distractor was likely a goat trying to eat your tunic. So, as we prepare to embark on this journey, if you haven't yet, kindly hit the like button, subscribe, and comment if you're feeling, moderately inspired. No pressure though. We wouldn't want to coax you into a decision any more vigorously than a toddler insisting on dessert before dinner. Now, muffle those alarms of the outside world. Dim those lights, prepare a gentle breeze to carry away all your worries, and find that snug little nook of yours. Get comfortable, whether that means wrapping yourself in your favorite blanket or snuggling your pillow like it's about to go into a championship match. As we drift into the realm of ancient history, pause and ask yourself, what would life look like for a solitary figure living in a time where streaming involved the perennial flow of rivers rather than modern gadgets? Would you start your day pondering how to fetch water without accidentally charming every salamander in the region? And what about fashion choices? Did they have a clearance section? And if so, what lengths would you go to snag that one standout tunic? Congratulations, you've just woken up in 1000 BCE, an era where the nearest Starbucks is, well, an actual star you gaze upon each night. Our scene unfolds in a serene valley, hugged tight by towering mountains, appearing as if they're having a competition on who can poke the heavens with the pointiest peak. Picture it, a solitary figure, let's call him Eli, standing at the valley's edge, channeling every ounce of hope and whimsy he possesses. Not a soul in sight, and trust me, Eli didn't bring his friends to this outing. He decided on a solo trip. No awkward conversations about the last time he fed his goats. He's staring up at those intimidating mountains, wondering if he should change plans or adopt rock climbing as a new hobby. As he squints at the looming silhouettes, the air around him is scented with wild herbs and a tinge of that delightful nothingness only a valley can provide. So tranquil, it feels like even the wind decided to pause for a moment to listen to Eli's inner musings. In a world without apps to distract, nature becomes the therapist, whispering ancient wisdom that every inch of stone and thorn has to offer. Eli's mind, however, is quite busy. Where is my help coming from? He wonders. There's a deep-rooted fear gnawing at him, a worry more persistent than the neighbor's rooster announcing the dawn at 4 a.m. for no good reason. His heart races, fluttering between stubborn hope and nagging dread, much like a child racing toward dessert, uncertain if the broccoli might still be lurking on the other side of the table. In that moment of vulnerability, soaring high above him is the expanse of endless blue, a reminder of something greater. He's lifted his gaze from the rigid rocks and boundless worries to the boundless sky above. It's as if the heavens themselves were having a roast about how seriously he'd taken his fears, when all he had to do was lift his chin and enjoy the view. Perhaps coffee wouldn't hurt either. Yet, let's pause here. Have you ever faced your own mountains of anxiety? Maybe it's a work deadline looming like a gigantic boulder, threatening to roll over you if you take one step too close. Or perhaps it's a relationship that feels less like a garden and more like a series of overgrown weeds. Eli's mountains might be silent and stoic, but most of us could use a kind word or two from time to time. And we each seek our own level of comfort amongst chaos. As Eli stands there, something remarkable happens. It's as if the sky listens to his unspoken worries and begins to ripple with light. Surely it can't be that simple, you might think. But then again, wasn't life always a little absurd? Why not let your burdens transform into something grander, like a buffalo doing the cha-cha? Suddenly, the weight that sat heavily upon Eli's shoulders begins to fade. as the golden rays dance through the valley, mingling with the whispering winds and bending grass. "Look at those mountains," Eli chuckles. "They're showing off just a little, aren't they?" And there it is. His perspective shifts like a sneeze that takes an unexpected turn, banishing the cobwebs of apprehension. The help he sought wasn't climbing those rocky masses or outsmarting the blustering winds. It didn't reside in a chiseling away at his worries by sheer grit and tenacity. No, instead it was in the acknowledgement that sometimes solace can be found in looking up and simply believing that something vast and magnificent exists above it all. So take a deep breath, dear listener. As Eli discovers the heights of serenity, store that knowledge for the moments when anxiety creeps into your subconscious, tugging at your thoughts like an impatient child. You too can lift your gaze, embrace the light, and let your troubles simply, well, drift away. Now, may your dreams be filled with endless skies and soft, comforting mountains as you find your peace, knowing that help is always just above you. Chapter 25, The Weaving of Eli. Welcome, dear listener. Today's chapters will warm your heart by the Lord like a cozy blanket fresh out of the dryer. Just don't let that pesky dog grab a corner while you're trying to wrap it around yourself, or you might end up in a tug-of-war worthy of Olympic status. Tonight, we delve into a time where fashion meant more than simply choosing between jeans and sweatpants, and the biggest online influencer was likely the wise village elder, who probably hadn't heard of contouring. If you haven't yet, kindly consider hitting that like button, subscribing, and of course, commenting. But only if those fingers are feeling just a smidge inspired. No pressure. We wouldn't want to make you feel more rushed than a chicken at a Sunday church potluck. Now, dim those lights, take a deep breath, and prepare yourself. The outside world can wait, and we're about to embark on a soothing journey into the past. So, snuggle into your favorite chair or nestle under those ample layers of blankets, whatever it takes to make you feel like you're wrapped in an ancient cloud. As we drift further back in time, let's ponder the simple yet profound questions of life 3,000 years ago. What did Eli think of his responsibilities? Did he worry about work-life balance while sculpting clay pots? Or was he just desperately trying not to step into goat droppings? And consider this. Was there ever a fashion week where they paraded around tunics? And how confused were they when they realized there are no selfies to document the beauty? Congratulations, you've just woken up in 1000 BCE, a time filled with extraordinary wonders and hardships. Our scene unfolds in a quiet, secretive nook, a dark yet warm place reminiscent of your favorite hideaway corner, but way more medieval and far less cozy. The air is laced with scents of earth and moss, and off in the shadows, there's a symphony of chirping crickets tying to one-up each other. In this unique space, something magical is happening. You can sense the gentle hum of creation as invisible hands work delicately, weaving together a form that is both human and divine. Picture it. Each thread represents ordained days, glowing brightly like fireflies caught in a dance that only the stars could envy. This human, let's call him Eli, is being lovingly crafted. He isn't in a rush, and you can almost hear him humming a tuneless melody. Maybe he's confused about whether he's more of a rock or a jazz kind of guy. With every strand woven in, you can hear whispered promises, an anxious heart gathering courage, an impatient spirit learning to be still. Eli stretches, feeling the weight of endless possibilities as he gazes into the darkness around him. "Hey, any chance there's a coffee break scheduled soon?" he calls out into the void. But alas, no response. Just the ever-present echo of existence and the delightful absurdity of life's timing. As future days flicker before him, like indecisive fireflies trying to decide which direction to flit, he suddenly wonders, What kind of marks will he leave on this earth? Will he be the poet or the farmer, the comforter or the wanderer? And most importantly, will his sheep ever figure out how to stop posing for selfies? In this moment, while inspiring visions dance like shadows on the wall of the womb, Eli feels a soft urging, a reminder that anxiety doesn't have to define him. Surely if anyone's ever faced a tough day, it'd be someone who took employment in sheep shearing during the busiest season. A sudden thought strikes him. Okay, but can I start a blog for sheep instead? Blogger and all that? Unbeknownst to him, those intricate threads of light that surround him represent not only his days, but the multitude of thoughts, fears, and dreams that would affect many, including you, dear listener. At last, a great peace settles upon Eli as he senses a radiant potential. These hands, whoever they are, seem to know what they're doing, he admits, managing to stifle a giggle at the cheerful absurdity of it all. For Heloise, the hidden force weaving Eli, this creation is both sacred and surreal, like flipping over an ancient hourglass and realizing time is less linear than a winding path through the country. And in that moment, they share a knowing glance, understanding that the greatest stories are those woven through laughter, love, and a sprinkle of unpredictability. Now, dear listener, as Eli continues this journey of formation, consider your own path portrayed through life's great loom. Are you anxiously awaiting what tomorrow brings? Or perhaps you too feel vulnerable in the dark places where your dreams await their turn to come to light, much like a caterpillar inching toward a show-stopping butterfly transformation. Take comfort in knowing that the same invisible hands guiding Eli's journey are gently cradling each of us, stitching love and promise into the very fabric of our lives. In a world of light and shadow, chaos and order, one can find the warm glow of hope. May you embrace the night peacefully, knowing that your story, much like Eli's, is still being sewn together thread by golden thread, ready to unfurl into the tapestry of existence that stretches beyond time and worry. Sleep well, and may your dreams flutter gracefully among the stars. As our journey through these ancient fields, deserts, valleys, and temple halls comes to a close, take a slow breath and let the stories settle softly around you. Tonight, you walked beside people whose lives were far harsher, stranger, and more exhausting than anything we face today. Farmers wrestling stubborn goats, travelers stumbling through fog thick enough to trip over, worshippers praising through storms, and wanderers searching for water in a land so dry even the tumbleweeds seemed defeated. And yet, they endured. Through scorching heat, sleepless nights, empty stomachs, and anxieties as heavy as stone walls, they found laughter, faith, and small pockets of peace. You heard their funny misadventures, their struggles with envy, their clumsy moments, their trembling worries, and the quiet ways God met them in each one. Their resilience was not polished or perfect. It was humble, dusty, rugged, and real. But it carried them through every valley. As you lie here now, wrapped in comfort they never knew, soft blankets instead of straw mats, warm rooms instead of cold stone, clean water instead of desperate thirst, take a moment to feel grateful. Grateful for rest. Grateful for safety. Grateful that anxiety no longer has to be wrestled under the relentless sun, but can be soothed by a whisper, a prayer, or a quiet night like this one. Let the ancient wisdom you heard tonight echo gently in your heart. That peace can bloom in barren places, that joy can coexist with hardship, and that even when life feels heavy, you are never, ever alone. So let your breath soften. Let your muscles loosen. Let the weight of the day fall away. You have walked far enough for now. Let sleep take you slowly, kindly, like a warm hand guiding you into still waters. Good night, dear listener. May peace cover you until morning.